Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
right, folks, today is Friday, July 18, 2025, coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. We are here in Philadelphia, where Alpha by Alpha Fraternity Incorporated is holding their national convention. So it's always good to see the brothers of the black and old gold. We'll talk with the general president about some issues in terms of what this convention is focused on. Bishop William Barber spoke here yesterday. Also, we'll hear from former General President Everett Ward talking about the Alpha's Political Action Committee, the role they're going to play in the 2026 national midterms. Also, Vice President JD Vance, that liar, was in Philadelphia touting the new tax bill, but he was really ignoring the impact that it's going to have on folks in Philadelphia and in Pennsylvania. To all the broke white folks in this state, y'all going to get screwed. Just letting y'all know. Also on today's show, we'll talk about Donald Trump. We told y'all they don't like black people. Now they're ending a 35-year program that helped out farmers of color, including black farmers. And all those Simple Simon Negroes who said Kamala Harris and Donald Trump were the same, y'all look pretty damn stupid right now. Also on today's show, we'll talk about WURD, a historic black radio station facing some financial issues. How are they going to be able to survive in this climate? We'll talk to one of their on-air hosts as well. Lots we're going to break down. It is time to bring the funk, 06 style, right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
He's got it. Whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, roll, roll, y'all. It's Roland Martin, yeah. Rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now.
Folks, we're broadcasting here in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia to be exact. Some 7,000 Alphas are here for the national convention, and so we are here as well. In a couple of hours, the step show is going to be taking place behind us, and so it's going to be jam-packed, and so we're here broadcasting and glad to be back in Philadelphia. Also here today is the useless Vice President JD Vance. He was here touting the Donald Trump tax bill, talking about how it's going to really help folks in Pennsylvania. But he happened to skip over some of the stuff that they're going to get really screwed. So we're going to talk about that right now with State Senator Vincent Hughes. Of course, he has to deal with the money here in Pennsylvania, chair of the Senate Democratic Appropriations Committee. We also, of course, have Teresa Lundy, principal and founder, TML Communications, Candace Kelly, legal analyst and host of Not All Hood, and so glad to have them here. Senator Hughes, always good to see you.
Good to see you.
So here's what's crazy. This is a state that Trump won. And they always talk about outside of Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, is Alabama.
In the middle.
And what's crazy to me, and I keep saying this, how these broke white folks in this country, they always talk about black people voting Democrat. It's about voting against our interests, yet they keep voting against their interests. You got about 140, 150,000 people who are going to lose Medicaid in this state. You talk about SNAP benefits, any number of different things. What the hell are these people thinking that they thought was going to happen?
Well, the saying goes, Roland, and thank you for coming back to Philadelphia once again, and welcome to the good brothers of Alpha Phi Alpha Incorporated. It's Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, and Alabama in the middle, all right? And that's been the saying for decades. What we know is this, is white folks, that particular crew made the conscious decision to once again vote against their best interests. The thing that's so diabolical about it this time, or so alarming about it this time, is that everyone, they were told up front what the deal was going to be with Project 2025, right up front. And they still made the conscious decision to vote against their own interests. And so what's playing itself out is the reduction in SNAP benefits, is the reduction in health care. The one that hasn't been talked about a lot, Roland, and we got to find some time, in future conversations of what's happening in higher education and the costs, the new costs that are going to be had with respect to repayment of your student loans.
Well, repayment of student loans. They also are making changes to Pell Grants as well. They're capping for graduate programs. So now if you're talking about people who are going to graduate school, they're capping the amount of loans you can get. So they're basically saying if you don't already have the means, you're screwed when it comes to being able to go to graduate programs.
Absolutely. All of those things happening across the board. It is the worst time in the history of this country as we see this reduction of all of these programs and protections in the civil rights spaces and housing and education and all of the various different, in healthcare, discrimination in healthcare, which essentially, since there are no protections in place, all of that will be allowed to continue. And the bottom line is, obviously it's going to be hell for us, okay, but probably an unanticipated pain for them. And, you know, they're going to have to go through it. They need to understand, and everybody needs to understand, that no state in this country has the financial capacity to pick up the loss of resources that are coming from Washington, D.C. No state in the country. So as they start running to Harrisburg, okay, Senator Hughes, we need some help with this. Senator Hughes, we need some help with that. We made it very clear. Some of us, right after the November election, we can't afford the loss of resources from Washington, D.C. They voted for it. Now all of us are going to pay for it. They will, and they did not anticipate it, even though they were told this is what's going to happen.
See, listen, I'm petty. I know they call me King Petty. I'm petty. And I know you're not going to do it. I know y'all not going to do it. I'm telling you right now, if any of those county folk in Pennsylvania were coming to my office, I would say, hold on one second.
Check out the numbers.
Your county voted for Trump. I would be petty.
But Roland, here's the question.
And the reason I think that's important, because I think they got to be reminded.
They need to.
Now, you're coming, they're going to be coming to you, Beck, Senator Hughes, say, we need some help. No, but this is why your county's losing $2-3 million. Oh, y'all voted for Trump.
Roland, every Republican, and this is what, and you have this platform to address and reach folks at all levels. Every state Republican House member, every state Republican senator who was quiet, and all of them were quiet when all these cuts were anticipated, where all these cuts were projected. They were quiet. They need to be held accountable. Not just the ones in Washington, the ones at the state level who knew that this was going to happen. Here's an example. 40 rural counties in Pennsylvania. 26 of those rural counties, the hospital is the #1 healthcare provider, but the #1 employer, the #1 business generator, the economic generator in that.
And as we keep saying, we talk about the hospital, it provides the jobs, but that's how the convenience store stays in business, the restaurant stays in business, all these things are around it. So hospital leaves, all of that's gone.
And they're projected to close. They're projected to close. They said to their federal representatives, we're going to shut down. They've said to their state Republican representatives, we are going to close. We cannot handle this. They need to be held accountable. Not just the folks in Washington, but the folks at the state level as well. And that message has got to go out to every state legislator, every constituent that is in these rural communities. Now, we're going to catch hell in Philadelphia. We're going to catch hell in Detroit. We're going to catch hell in Milwaukee, all right? The old way of providing health care services to those communities will be generated back into the emergency room. Most expensive care, not necessarily the best care, but it'll be back in those emergency rooms. But those folks who voted for Donald Trump, especially those Republican legislators, must be held accountable.
Are state Democrats here, is the state Democratic Party prepared to document and call out every stance? And here's what I mean. When the rural hospital in North Carolina closed, the first person that was a white woman who died. She had to be airlifted like 65 miles away. She died. To me, this is one of those things where state Democratic Party should say, so-and-so got sick, hospital closed, had to travel X, she or he passed away. That's on you. See, to me, this is where it can't be a generalization.
No.
It has to be specific. Y'all contributed to her death. And they got to own that. And they got to be able to say, no, that's y'all boy. Y'all voted for him. Y'all backed him. Y'all endorsed him.
That's the information that needs to be provided in a very real way. Sister Teresa's going to tell you from the communications perspective the best way to communicate, the best way, but those personal stories, like you just talked about, are the ones that really connect with people. They really hit home with people. You know this as well from your vantage point, from doing this all this time that you've been doing it, when it's a personal story, and they will be revealed. When that local hospital closed, when that local nursing home closed, all right? And folks are going to have to travel 90, 100 miles to get service. Or the people who work in those facilities are going to be out of a job, all right? Those stories need to be told, all right? They need to be told. And state Democratic parties have the obligation to tell those stories.
Hey, Teresa, downstairs, they have these huge pop-ups of all of the last, I think, 8 or 10 alpha general presidents. That's what I'm talking about. I would probably have a placard the size of that wall right there behind me, and I'd be like, see, this one right here. That, to me, that's what you have to do. I just believe that nationwide, Democrats are playing a soft game. And what I mean by that, just like we saw when they walked out of the hearing, Senate Judiciary hearing on yesterday. My deal would be, we stopping everything. I'm putting a hold on everything. You cannot play the old game of my colleague, all this sort of stuff. No. You got to go hardcore. And so, perfect example, JD Vance here. JD Vance should have been met by 5,000 people.
Absolutely.
He lying. I just think the game has changed. How you combat the opposition has absolutely changed. Democrats have got to be hardcore gangster everywhere to deal with what's happening right now.
You know, Democrats, I totally agree. I think Democrats need to be as radical as the Republicans have been this entire time. I think they have been bold. I think their commentary, especially if you watch Fox News and some of the other online digital platforms that are conservative-centered, they have been real specific on calling out individuals by name, by district, by fiscal responsibility, and it's been working. Because if you start to see the talking points in social media and the replies thereof, it's all about the attacks. Now, we're not saying we want you to attack the elected, but we want you to hold them accountable. The way you hold people accountable is by telling what the facts are, and then also resharing the facts, not speculating, I believe this is my colleague, I believe this is, so-and-so that's doing it, or saying it's a general body as a whole, but like you said, shutting it down, making your voice heard, and meeting them where they at. I'm also a little bit disappointed. When we have, our beloved President Obama saying that Democrats need to get tougher, or, our current DNC
Obama came out talking about folks need to stop navel gazing. Seriously, President Obama, I need you to sit down. No, I'm going to go ahead and say that because the reality is there are people who are fighting.
Yeah.
There are people who are swinging. There are people, they're not navel gazing. Right. They are out here swinging. No, bro, you out here making movies. I mean, we're just going to call it what it is. This is not a time for soft leadership.
Right.
And again, everybody operates with, you know what, he not going to really go that far. The Democrats right now are trying to defend institutions. They are trying to decimate institutions.
Correct.
So you got to understand the game that you're now playing. They don't care.
Yeah, we're seeing it here at home, right? So, University of Penn's a great example. They've had their trial and error with the Trump administration. They've upholded a few of their things, but then they got overturned because they decided to cave in and get those $1 million back in funding. So, and that's I would say it's a democratic institution per se because of, from the Biden family and everyone else that went there. But I think overall, the institutions also, they're fighting in court, right? But there's only but so much you can do when you have the President of the United States who's also running the courts, except for the Supreme Court, but that's a whole nother story. So I think there's an opportunity there, but I think going back to the original point, radical Democratic leadership is what I think everybody is more so looking for right now.
Candace, that's when we talk about the budget. First of all, Republicans have backdated a lot of this, so they're not going to take an impact until they're not going to take effect until 2027. But if you are a state rep or a state senator, every single day they should be hammering, oh, it's coming. It's coming. Oh, you don't feel it right now, but it's coming. And when you talk about sitting on those committees at the state capitol, it literally should be you endorse them, you endorse them, you endorse them, you endorse them. Oh, so now y'all complaining? Now y'all complaining? And then and again, that's why I can never run for office, because I'll be like, I'm only voting for funding for the people who didn't vote for Trump. Because that's what they're doing.
That's right. That's exactly what they're doing.
And I know people say, no, we represent everybody. No, damn that. I'm going to send money to the people who didn't vote for him because y'all voted for those cuts. And when they come back with, no, this is what we voted for. Oh, yeah, actually, that is what you voted for. Yeah. Y'all just thought it was going to be to the black people.
That's right.
And to them brown people. They didn't think it was going to be to them.
No, and it is very much to them. I think this really leaves open the opportunity to make a smarter electorate. Why? Because, as you said, you tell somebody exactly what happened because they were part of the process. But in the process of doing that, you also have to tell them what you need to do the next time. It's just a few months ago that we were talking about the price of eggs. So what they know is coming is what we are seeing right now.
I saw a tweet showing how the price of beef has jumped big time as well.
It has. And as you said, one of the things that people don't understand, it's like when you have a fight with somebody and they want to get to the good stuff. I believe you, as you are saying, you have to go through the process. What happened in between there before we get to the apology and the place that we're all happy and seeing kumbaya? The in-between stuff is that you were the one who voted for this. You were the one who saw this coming with Project 25. But you were also the one who decided, I'm just going to ignore this and hope for the best. Or try to understand that maybe this is just going to affect black people when ultimately you're seeing that we are talking rural. And we're talking rural, we are talking not African Americans in terms of the numbers, we are talking white people. And now we are seeing, and we have to play the same game that the Republicans are doing. Because as you said, they're calling everybody out. They are putting up graphics. They are making it happen, making sure that people understand this is how you do it. What people are getting is a civic lesson, right? To understand what's going on right now. And this is the time for people to really hunker down. And I love your people, by the way. This is time for people to really hunker down and say, let me understand this world that I'm living in now, because it's not working out for me. And because of that, because my vote does matter, I need to understand how we got here, because I certainly didn't understand, even with the roadmap that was before us with Project 25. It's really time for people to wake up.
Well, here's a perfect example. When you talk about Trump comes in with Doge, they do massive cuts to rural internet.
Yep.
Those folks have to be reminded, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, y'all voted for Trump? That's why you don't have any Wi-Fi. That's why you don't have internet. Oh, I'm sorry. It was Biden that passed the billions. Trump came in and whacked all of those billions. So sorry, we were going to supply y'all with internet, but Trump is the reason why you don't have internet.
Have to be reminded. Have to be reminded. It is, and I think Kansas is exactly correct, the moment where we do a civics lesson.
Right.
Like you just said, just look at it a different way. This is a civics lesson. This is what you voted for. This is why you're not getting the help that you had historically received.
Right.
Okay? Think about it. In Pennsylvania, Roland, there's over 125,000 folks who are suffering from the fentanyl crisis. Mm-hmm. They get their assistance from Medicaid.
Yep.
They're going to lose all of that. And where are they? They're not just in Philly, Pittsburgh, Chester, Harrisburg, places like that. They're all across Pennsylvania in rural communities struggling, and the only means for their assistance is Medicaid. They're going to lose that help. The SNAP piece, those processes begin not 2 years from now. Those processes begin actually around September 1, in a couple months, all right? And so these things are going to play themselves out right in front of our eyes. And the states, we were talking about this today. We had a press conference on this issue today with Senator Art Haywood and a few others, Senator Street, a few others brought us together. The process will play itself out in the fact that the cost will have to go to administer this to the state level, which means the hundreds of millions of dollars at the state level that could be utilized to provide some other service will have to be utilized to administer a failed process that has been proven to be a failure in several other states before it will be implemented here in Pennsylvania and other states in a short couple months.
And of course, a lot of those states, a lot of these states have had surpluses because of Biden-Harris during COVID, the billions that went out, and folks been sitting on surpluses, and touting that in their re-election campaigns. A lot of that money is about to start disappearing because Trump, they won't support disaster aid.
Right.
So when you have hurricanes or tornadoes hit, they're like, no, you're stuck out. We're not going to help you. And so,
but think about, Roland, from this perspective. Every aspect of American life, in your community, in any community you may be from, is worse now than it was on November 5th. Is worse now than it was on January 20th. On November 5th, the gas station around the corner from my house, gas was $2.87 per gallon. That this station now is $3.15 per gallon.
Oh, I'm sorry, but Trump said gas went down.
Yeah, yes, he did.
not at the gas station in West Philadelphia around the corner from my crib. Okay?
Yeah, according to Trump, gas went down, eggs down, inflation down, everything down.
Exactly.
Every aspect of American life, it's worse.
Yeah. You know what this is like? This is like real life Jenga. You start pulling one, the whole thing comes down. You start pulling the jobs from the hospital, then the families explode because you don't have any money coming in the household because you don't have any money coming in the household because of the fact that somebody has lost their job. You don't have people who have Medicaid anymore, and then they're just dying, and then you don't have a mother or a father. This is like watching real life Jenga, and everything that's been a part of this big, beautiful bill, you pull one thing and everything can come tumbling down. Just one thing, everything can come tumbling down, especially with hospitals. You have to be alive first in order to deal with anything else. And if I can't get the health care that I need, well, everything's going to come down. Everything's going to come tumbling down. It is a real life Jenga.
Absolutely. Senator Hughes, we certainly appreciate it. Keep up the good fight, and we'll keep giving them hell over here, too.
Please do, man. And thank you for having me. These two lovely sisters right here, okay? Genius, talent, and of course, Cheryl told me to tell you hello.
Tell them what's up. I appreciate it. Folks, going to go to a quick break. We come back, we're going to talk to Representative Malcolm Kenyatta, of course, VP, Democratic National Committee. The question is, how aggressive will the DNC combating the thugs in the White House? We'll discuss that next right here. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network, live from the Alpha Phi Alpha Convention here in Philadelphia. Back in a moment.
This week on The Other Side of Change.
We're digging into the immigration crisis that's happening here right now.
That can impact each and every one of us. We're going to break down the topic of this constitutional crisis that is being led by the Trump administration and what you, as ordinary citizens, can do to speak up and speak out to fight back. This is The Other Side of Change, only on the Black Star Network.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. The window to invest in Fanbase is closing. We've raised over $10.6 million of our $17 million goal. That means there's room for less than 6,370 people to invest in Fanbase for the average amount. The minimum to invest in Fanbase right now is $399. That makes you an owner in Fanbase today. Go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. Why? Because current social apps have taken advantage of users for far too long, with content suppression, shadow banning, harmful racist content, and no real tools for monetization and equity. Fanbase has over 1.4 million users and counting, allowing anyone to reach all their following and monetize their content from day one. Social media is the new TV, and whoever owns the apps that distribute that content have the opportunity to own potential billion-dollar companies. While big platforms with uncertain futures are failing to serve their users, Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now, invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the next generation of social media.
This is Tamala Mann.
And this is David Mann. And you're watching Roland Martin
Unfiltered.
All right, folks, welcome back. We are here in Philadelphia. Alpha Convention is taking place, and so we're broadcasting live here. Joining us right now is Pennsylvania State Rep Malcolm Kenyatta, also Vice President, Democratic National Committee. A second time, you know, they had a revote, and there's all that drama, so that's all done. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. That wasn't the history I was trying to make, but first person to win twice, so
right,
take it.
Right. Get elected twice within 6 months.
You know, if Mike Pence had the courage, I would have been in the first time.
Let's first of all, okay, we saw the clip when you were on News Nation.
Yeah.
So how long were you on air? Like about 90 seconds?
You know, 96 seconds. My team counted.
So Leland Vitter got mad because you wouldn't answer
he got a little
his
upset.
question about Jeffries and Sharpton.
Yeah, so I don't know what that was about. And you know, we talked about this a little bit when we were at Essence about the critical nature of black media in this moment. Because I said when I was on the Native Land podcast, whether it's you, Roland, or some of these other incredible people who are using the platforms that they've built to educate our folks, because the mainstream media, we see CBS canceling the Colbert Report, doing everything they can, 60 Minutes, all these places that you used to be able to depend on, at least some impartial, unbiased excavation of the facts. They're no longer doing that. And independent media is so critical, whether it's Donald Trump's health. It was people in independent media that pushed the mainstream media to actually talk about that scandal. And I know that
big ankles.
Right? I mean, you know, and he has like some serious health conditions that nobody in the media is talking about. And the list goes on and on. But the reason Leland and I had that back and forth is that he did a 12-minute open about political violence, said nothing about the Speaker Hortman, who was assassinated, her and her husband Mark, said nothing about
First of all, Leland Vitter is a right-winger who came from Fox.
Yep.
But let's just be clear what the real
No, he's balanced. He's balanced, he said. He said he's fair and balanced. But he could not find a single Republican who had engaged in political violence and laid it all at the feet of, I think it was Representative might have been Representative Cesar, some others from the Progressive Caucus who were talking about people going with their neighbors to their ICE check-ins at court and standing with each other, and he's equating that to the same type of political violence that we're seeing from the right. It's not the same, and I wasn't going to allow him to get away with it, but, you know, he didn't want to finish the conversation. But I would go back if he wants to actually talk. I'll go anywhere.
Well, you know, first of all, that's the situation with News Nation is. Right. When I went on there with Dan Abrams, straight lied, they just cut out half a tweet that and he got called out by my fans for like 6 months afterwards.
Absolutely.
I mean, they were still lighting his ass up.
No, the Martin Nation is somewhere doing it right now. You mentioned it, they hot again.
Then they gonna hit me. They wanted me to come back on the next night to. I said, I'm not explaining the damn thing. And I said, also, I said, I got more viewers than y'all do. So why do I need to go on your show? I'm like, nah. And wait a minute, they didn't have me back on. I'm like, and I still got more people watching me than watch them. But that's a whole other thing. Let's talk. We were just talking about with Senator Hughes, all of these rural white conservatives voting against their interests. Now they're crying. Now they're begging resources. We played the video of this one white woman, hardcore MAGA in Texas, but then she had all these tears when the flood hit and was begging for help. And I'm like, oh, now y'all have compassion. And what people are asking, they said, are we going to see Democrats respond aggressively? Black PAC has a new poll out that it's not good news for Democrats. And I think in this moment what people are demanding, they want to see that folk are willing to fight, to be aggressive, to challenge the opposition, because you got thugs you're dealing with who don't care.
Yeah. And
so what is the DNC plan? What is Ken Martin going to do? Because the people, I travel all around this country, and the people, they're like, yo, I need to see somebody fighting these folk.
Yeah. So let me start by saying you're absolutely right. You know, I don't know who said this, and so if you said this to me, no, I'm quoting you, all right? That, you know, Democrats are playing checkers, Republicans are playing Grand Theft Auto, and they're on, you know, they've stolen their next vehicle and shot up the damn hospital. And so, you know, we are in a position where I will tell you, I'm not deflated by those numbers of people wanting folks to fight harder, wanting the Democratic Party to do more. I think it says something good about Democrats, that they hold their elected officials to a high standard, and that they recognize all the stuff that they care about, not the play stuff. Politics not like a joke. The stuff that Senator Hughes and I are fighting on right now, trying to get funding for SEPTA so that people can get to work. The impact of the 17 million people are going to lose health care. People want to know that you give a damn about my person I love, best in the world, having their entire life turned upside down because of these policy decisions. Now, as it relates to what we have to do in this moment, is we have to think outside the box. And I think a prime example of that is what's happening in Texas, because there is not a single thing that this administration that has done that is popular with the American people. And I would say to folks watching, you should know this, Donald Trump is underwater in every single poll there is, even on the central thing that got him elected around the border and immigration. He's underwater on those numbers as well. So they don't believe they can win fair and square. You know, they're not trying to square up like people used to square up. They're coming with all types of tricks and games. They're trying to do this mid-century redistricting. And Chair Martin was supposed to be in Philadelphia right now at the Young Democrats convention, but is in Texas with the members of the Texas House, strategizing, organizing with them to say, what can we do to support them as they do the work that all of us need to be doing to standing up to this guy. But I think what's happening in Texas is a prime example of what I've been saying everywhere I go. We have to look local first as a party and recognize that so many of the downstream impacts that we see in Washington are really a reflection of the lack of attention that we've paid to what's happening locally.
Here's a perfect example. Just the other day, Representative Jeffries, Representative Robin Kelly, Representative Troy Carter, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, and there was one from California. So they're in New Orleans, and they're talking about these Medicaid cuts. And I go, why are you in New Orleans? I said, if you're going to do that, isn't it more effective to hold that news conference outside of one of Mike Johnson's district offices? First of all, you're going to guarantee to get local coverage. You're going to get state coverage. It's going to get national coverage. I said, that to me, that's a perfect example. You're doing something on your turf that you already got New Orleans. But no, you got to take the fight to his district. I pulled it up on the show. He has 5 district offices. I said, that was 5 members of Congress. They should have had a different news conference outside of every one of his district offices and say, okay, we're going to come to your district. This is Louisiana. To me, that's how you have to fight back. I sometimes, frankly, don't understand when I see some Democratic politicians who are trying to fight a battle swinging feathers. To me, you have to take the fight to them. I'm going on your turf and challenge you in front of your office and say, these are the number of people in this district who are going to lose Medicaid. Number of people who are going to lose who SNAP benefits. Who's the California congressman? 64% of his district is on Medicaid. I would, if I'm Jeffries, I'm going to his district holding a news conference. To me, that's the kind of energy that I believe you have to be fighting somebody with, that then is going to generate the attention that you actually want.
No, that's absolutely right, and that's good advice, great advice. One of the things I've tried to do is to really recognize in this role that I have as vice chair of the DNC, what can I do, right? What are the things that are within my control and authority? And I don't say this as a dodge, but one of the things I recognize is that the DNC can't do everything, and if you try to do everything, can't do anything well. But let me tell you what we are doing exactly in line with what you're saying. We started this thing just last week called Organizing Summer, and I've been so incredibly excited by the turnout, where we are training people on the ground to figure out how to do the type of organizing, the direct contact to their legislators in 36 targeted districts where Republicans not only screwed over their own constituents with the vote for this big bullshit bill, but also in districts that we really have the possibility to flip in this upcoming election. So far, in just 4 months, Democrats have held 155 town halls in every single state, including Alaska, talking about a whole host of issues. But right now what we've done is try to get even more strategic and even more granular to the districts that we're going to actually need to make the math work to make Hakeem Jeffries the next Speaker of the House. But this is true. We're asking folks to give us a chance to lead, an opportunity to lead. And I will say, when we get the opportunity to lead, the trust of people to lead, then we have to freaking do something. We have to engage with a type of ruthlessness to make people's lives better as they engage with a ruthlessness to make life miserable for folks. Because it seems like whenever Donald Trump is not on Epstein's island, he is trying to make things worse for the American people. And I know that folks might not care, but there are people in my district who go to Walmart right on Delaware Avenue who are now paying 51% more for baby formula, for car seats for their kids, and a whole other host of issues. And I know folks like, Trump and the people who got the tax cuts, they don't care about that. But I know, Teresa, and many other folks know that that makes all the difference for people who, like my mama, were penny pinching.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
Well, and I first of all, I believe that strategy is critically important because I keep reminding people, the midterm elections next year is not a national election. It is a district by district election. You're going to have state seats. You got 9 or 12 Senate seats that are going to be on the ballot, but it's really those 435 House seats. And there are 35 vulnerable Republicans who have to be targeted. That's 850,000 people in each one of those particular districts. And so, yes, on the ground, hardcore, local, because if you turn out people, at the end of the day, the reason Trump is trying to do gerrymandering in Texas and Ohio, because they desperately know that they lose 5 seats, Democrats have the House. Right. And so that's what we're talking about right here, and folks have to understand the stakes that are at play. Teresa, that to me, that state by state, or as I always say, state by state, city by city, county by county, neighborhood by neighborhood, block, street, home. That literally has to be the focus.
Yeah, and I also think, going to and I love that, Malcolm is not only a friend, but also a neighbor in North Philadelphia, right? So taking what we've done, even on the local level from grassroots, and taking it to the national level, because that summer organizing just doesn't come out of thin air. It actually takes folks who has been doing grassroots organizing all their lives, right? Either them individually or either them by those that we have as mentors and those that we have as overseers. But I also don't want us to forget about the civic organizations that are supposed to be leading these civil rights charges, from the NAACP, the Urban League of the National Urban League, and all these other great, phenomenal, established over 100-year institutions who are supposed to be doing the same fight that we are, because the DNC can't do it alone. You know, local organizations can't do it alone. And sometimes all of it is not about being funded. It's about being inspired. And so we are looking for leaders who are trying to inspire and reconnect and rejuvenate. So again, you know, I'm always happy whenever I see you on commentary, but I'm also happy because you know the elected officials are doing work, right? You know the ones who are not just in the seat legislatively, but are also in the community, going block by block, district by district, and city by city, and also lending their voice to come on these podcasts, because this is also a labor of love, right? For some of those electeds, but you have to, like you said, get in their face, do the work, show up, and make sure everybody else has a seat at the table.
But Malcolm, I think we have to, I agree with everything Teresa says, but what I keep emphasizing is I'm not putting this on electeds. I'm not putting this on a party. What I want people to understand is an everyday ordinary person, if 100 people in a neighborhood decide that they're going to go get the data, which is public, to look at how many people in my precinct voted, then they can go, wait a minute, we can actually go door to door ourselves. People have to understand that they can actually be a difference maker. They don't have to wait for somebody to swoop in to actually do this. People can decide on their own to go block walking.
That's right.
That's right. No, that's absolutely right. And one of the things I've been saying often, and it feels particularly resonant for me right now, thinking about Representative Lewis's birthday yesterday, Good Trouble Day. I always say that I think there's a little bit of historical revisionism that ends up going on in people's minds, where I keep hearing people ask, you know, who's going to be the next Representative Lewis or next Martin Luther King or Malcolm X.
If another person asked me about 2028, I'm a cuss. I tell people,
oh my God,
why the hell you asked me about 2028?
That's right.
I said, we got races in 2025.
We have races right now in New Jersey and Virginia. We have retention races for the Pennsylvania Supreme Court where billionaires like Musk are putting in millions of dollars to try to overturn the seats of our Democratic Supreme Court justices that are the reason we were able to have fair redistricting for our congressional seats, by the way. But I just want to make this point that I think in retrospect, people look at these big name folks and are asking who are going to be those folks of this generation. And I keep saying to people, don't worry about who gets the quote-unquote credit. All that stuff is decided later. Just get on the bridge like people did 60 years ago on the Edmund Pettus Bridge. Just get on the bridge. Don't worry about what the article headline is going to be. But to your point, pick up a walk sheet wherever you live and try to make a difference where you are. And I would just end by saying this. You don't have to be frustration-free to get involved. It's actually your frustration and your anger that is going to drive you in this work. It can't sustain all of it. You have to have some hope. You have to have some joy in this stuff. But it's that anger that is my therapist reminds me, anger is an emotion that gets you up and going and moving. And if you listen to it, it can drive you in the direction where there might be some passion and some ability for you to really use your talents.
Yeah, I ain't got a therapist. I just cuss people out. I just cuss people out.
I do both. I do both.
I got low blood
therapy
pressure.
is talking it out to the people.
No. Oh, I'm a therapist. I cuss you out.
Different type of therapy.
Candace, go ahead.
Well, you know, I'm just reminded about when you first talked about being on News Nation for about 96 seconds, and then they asked you to come back. And honestly, you didn't have to come back, right? Because everybody has what Roland is saying. They have that you can go door to door and pick up and do whatever you want. You can also be your own media center and guide. You can get on YouTube Live right now. You can get on IG Live right now and be your own station.
No. Your ass can go live at 8:01.
That's right. It can't be between 6 p.m. and 8 p.m.
Don't be trying to be live between 6.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Watch this 6 to 8. Then your ass go.
That's right. Yes. Then you can rally the people to go door to door after. But, you know, when 8:01 p.m. begins, people have to understand, too, and I think that this is where, you know, I mentioned it before, we have to understand the civics part of it and how it works, the marketing part of it, the getting people enthused about it, and really making people understand that they actually have power. Because when you're sitting there at home and you're lamenting and, you know, you've spoken to your therapist and you feel like you have not gotten to a better point, you think that you don't really have any power.
Absolutely.
And if you don't know how to do it, then you need some instruction.
Correct.
And quite frankly, there are a lot of people, if you go to your local church, if you go to, you know, people like you who are local, go in the neighborhood, you can find out how to do it. But media is the big part. That's what you were saying. That's how you get local media.
It's called
that's
mass
right.
media for a reason.
That's right. It's called mass media for a reason, but you have to rally the people.
Malcolm, explain to people, because again, my head hurts when this happens. Explain to people exactly what the Democratic National Committee does. Because there's this belief that they control it all and not realizing that, listen, PACs have totally changed the game. The DNC used to be the central fundraising arm. Frankly, they raise less money, really, than all of these different PACs, whatever. So a lot of people just have no understanding what the DNC actually is.
Yeah, and McCain-Feingold, and I'm going to go back to your question, but McCain-Feingold also made it more difficult, frankly, for parties. There was some good stuff in that, but made it more difficult for parties to have that centralized focus. But we have a simple job. Our job is to elect Democratic nominees and to beat Republicans. That is our simple job. But we have an important responsibility in the broader Democratic ecosystem, because the Democratic Party, we maintain the national voter file. That may sound like a small thing. That's a big thing. The way that candidates are able to actually knock on your door and sometimes send you more text messages than you want to receive.
First of all, hold on. This is what I mean. So you have the National Democratic National Committee. Yep. Then you have state parties.
That's right.
Then you have county parties.
That's right.
That's the infrastructure. So people just think, oh, no, they just govern everybody. No, there's an actual organizational structure here where nationally you're trying to fund state parties. State parties then fund county parties. So that's what the DNC actually is.
That's what we are. We're the keeper of the voter file. We are the umbrella organization for a lot of different entities that, frankly, do their own things. Like I hear all the time too, where people say, well, Malcolm, make this state party. We can't make a state party do anything either. It's the same way in many respects that you think about the separate structures of your federal government, your state government, and your local government. You know, what people feel on the day-to-day is their local party. You know, the committee person that you know. And then that committee person and all of you help elect state committee people who then make up the Pennsylvania Democratic Party.
And that's just the DNC.
That's just the DNC.
The Democratic Governance Association is different.
Yep.
The Democratic Senate Congressional Committee, different. The DSCC, the DCCC, the Democratic State Legislative Group. So you have all these different entities that are at play.
And they all have votes and input on the DNC, but they're their own separate entities. And so, you know, there are people who think, you know, we control the Democratic calendar in Congress. We control the congressional calendar. You know, we're not in control of everything, but what we can do and what we are focused on is recruiting, training the types of organizers that we're going to need.
That's it.
Making sure that our candidates, when they are the nominees, have the supports that they need to win hard elections. Win the election-winning business, the policy business, everything else. Those are other people's things. I know we get blamed for it, but you know, Chair Martin said something that he says it all the time, that to be a party.
Ken Martin, not
Chair
me.
Ken Martin. the other Martin, no relation. No
that's
relation.
a different chair.
Different, no relation. But he says all the time, and it's true. You know, to be a party leader is to like be a fire hydrant. Everybody comes and pisses on you, and every now and then you get to let out some water and put out a big fire. But you know, I decided to try to take this on because I was sick of just yelling into the wind, being on Twitter, being upset.
Right.
And I decided to open the hood up, get some oil on my face, get my hands dirty, and try to do everything we can. And one of the things I've been focused on like a laser is the Deep South. People have seen me across the South a lot. I'm about to be back in Texas. I've been in Florida 3 times already. Was just in Tennessee last week, was in Mississippi. And some of the Alabama Young Democrats, they said if I don't get to Alabama, they're not going to let me out of the convention, so I got to get to Alabama.
Because Bishop Barber keeps saying, he said the problem is the South is disorganized. It's not organized.
Correct. Absolutely. You know, people don't know there are more black folks in Mississippi than any other state in the country. And so, like, places
Texas
like Mississippi
has the largest number of eligible black voters in any state in America.
Right. And so we're in a position where we have to organize those folks. And then also we're in a position where I keep saying to folks, give the Democratic Party, give all of us the opportunity to change too. Because it's so easy to be so frustrated. And you've seen this in your life. You have people in your life, you're so frustrated with them, even when they've taken out the garbage like you want, you still upset about the last time they didn't. This entire DNC are new people. We've only been here for 6 months, and we are trying our hardest to receive the feedback and implement the things that people are saying. But I ain't asking you to be not frustrated. I'm just asking you to not just stay online with your frustration. Come to your local Democratic Party meeting.
Absolutely. All right, then. Well, Representative Kenyatta,
thank you so much.
Keep up the work. Keep up the pressure.
Thank you, my friend.
This Chair Martin gonna keep being petty
from 6 to 8
and give folk hell.
That's your strategy.
That's right. Give them hell every single day. We appreciate it. Thanks so much. Folks, got to go to a break. We come back. We're going to chat with the Dr. Everett Ward with the Alpha Political Action Committee. I also see my good Alpha brother, Congressman Al Green, over there as well. We'll chat with him. Lots to talk about here from Philadelphia at the Alpha Convention right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. But folks, support the work that we do. Let me explain to y'all why your support matters. Y'all know it's going to cost us $1,750 to pay for the power at this convention center to power these cameras. See, when I try to walk y'all through and I say this stuff is real, the costs are real, staff costs are real, but literally $1,750. Then don't worry about it. After this one, when y'all donate, I'm buying 2 more portable units. Well, I ain't paying that money for no one-time usage. Just letting y'all know. But that's how we roll. And so we want y'all to support the work that we do. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. The goal is to get 20,000 Violence fans contributing on average $50 each a year. It's $4.19 a month, 13 cents a day. Look, you're funding this show, plus you're funding the other 5 shows on the Black Star Network. And let me be clear. There's nobody in black-owned media doing what we're doing. Nobody. Y'all ain't nobody else broadcasting remotely all around the country. And trust me, later this year, we're going to be all around Virginia, trying to keep my Alpha brother Don Scott as the Speaker of the House of Virginia, and Louise Lucas controlling the money. Next year, we're going to be in North Carolina. We're going to be in Georgia, all around the country. And so resources matter. So your support is critical. You want to give us via Cash App. Here's a Stripe QR button. You see it right here. Use that QR code. Click the Cash App pay button, contribute. You check some money or to make a payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered. Send to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. PayPal R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo RM Unfiltered. Zelle Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. We'll be right back.
Next on the Black Table with me, Greg Carr. We look at one of the most influential and prominent Black Americans of the 20th century. His work literally changed the world. Among other things, he played a major role in creating the United Nations. He was the first African American and first person of color to win the Nobel Peace Prize. And yet today, he is hardly a household name. We're talking, of course, about Ralph J. Bunche. A new book refers to him as the absolutely indispensable man.
His lifelong interest and passion in racial justice, specifically in the form of colonialism. And he saw his work as an activist and advocate for the Black community here in the United States as just the other side of the coin of his work trying to roll back European empire in Africa.
Author Cal Rostiala will join us to share his incredible story. That's on the next Black Table, here on the Black Star Network.
This week on The Other Side of Change.
We're digging into the immigration crisis that's happening here right now.
That can impact each and every one of us. We're going to break down the topic of this constitutional crisis that is being led by the Trump administration and what you, as ordinary citizens, can do to speak up and speak out to fight back. This is The Other Side of Change, only on the Black Star Network.
On our next A Balanced Life, we talk about how to get in touch with your feelings, emotions, how to find your North Star, and how to move your life along.
Because oftentimes what we'll do is we'll accept what the world says about us as the truth and how we see ourselves, which that can be completely contrary to what the Word of God says about who you are.
That's on the next A Balanced Life here on Black Star Network.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. The window to invest in Fanbase is closing. We've raised over $10.6 million of our $17 million goal. That means there's room for less than 6,370 people to invest in Fanbase for the average amount. The minimum to invest in Fanbase right now is $399. That makes you an owner in Fanbase today. Go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. Why? Because current social apps have taken advantage of users for far too long, with content suppression, shadow banning, harmful racist content, and no real tools for monetization and equity. Fanbase has over 1.4 million users and counting, allowing anyone to reach all their following and monetize their content from day one. Social media is the new TV, and whoever owns the apps that distribute that content have the opportunity to own potential billion-dollar companies. While big platforms with uncertain futures are failing to serve their users, Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now, invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the next generation of social media.
On the next Get Wealthy with me, Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, Black women are starting businesses at the fastest rate than any other segment. However, finding the funding to build them is challenging. On our next Get Wealthy, we're going to talk with author Catherine Finney, who wrote the book, Build the Damn Thing. And she's going to be sharing exactly what we need to do to achieve success in spite of the odds.
As an entrepreneur of color, it's first, building your personal advisory board. I think that's one of the things that's helped me the most. The personal advisory board are the people who are in the business of you personally, and want to see you succeed.
That's right here on Get Wealthy, only on Black Star Network.
Folks, that's of course, the grand ballroom here at the Convention Center, getting ready for the Step Show. The brothers will be, that'll be starting in less than an hour. We're sitting just outside of the ballroom. It's going to be absolutely jam-packed in there. Not quite as big as it was at the Delta Convention. My God. Y'all, it was about 10,000 sisters in that room. It was crazy. First of all, I texted my wife. I'm like, what table you sitting at? She's like, table 1054. I was like, I ain't sitting way back there. So I said, I'll be up front. So I ain't sitting way the hell back there. I think she was in another state sitting back there. All right. We're here in Philadelphia at the Alpha Convention. Joining us right now, my far left, and that's where he's seated. Congressman Al Green of Texas. Glad to see you, my dear Alpha brother. Congressman Bobby Scott of Virginia. And standing next to me, Dr. Everett Ward. He is with the Alpha Political Action Committee. Glad to have all y'all here. I'm going to start with you, Congressman Green. Listen, I have said constantly that what we have in Black America is we have unutilized capacity. When you look at D9 organizations, when you look at Links, when you look at Prince Hall Mason, Eastern Star, we can go down the line. We have all these organizations, but I believe they're too insular. And the reality is, when you talk about 501c3, folk are also scared of protecting their tax status, and I get it, But that says an organization can't endorse a candidate. Doesn't mean you can't be active on issues. And so what do you say to alphas nationwide in terms of being even more involved in what's happening politically in this country on the national level, the state level, the county, the city level as well, plus what happens in our school districts?
Well, thank you very much, Roland. It's an honor to be on your program. I have to say this. I heard your appeal earlier, $1,750. I want to make sure that I make my contribution, so count on me.
I appreciate it.
Right. Thank you. Now, in terms of what you've asked, I believe in unity without uniformity. Not only do we have to do things within Alpha Phi Alpha, but we have to unite with the Deltas and the AKAs, all of the Divine Nine. We can work together, and the multiplier that we will produce by working together can change this country just with these fraternities. So yes, you're right. We have to do it. But to do it, we've got to get together as a unit. And we don't have to give up our identities. We can continue to be who we are, but let's have unity without uniformity and make a difference.
Congressman Scott, 2011, a voter suppression bill was passed in Ohio. And the folks there, they had to collect 300,000 signatures to get it put on the ballot in 2012. And so in 11, so Congresswoman Marsha Fudge, then Congresswoman Fudge, I actually moderated the D9 panel. So all the presidents were sitting up there. Dr. WURD wasn't president yet, so he didn't get challenged like I did. So I challenged all the presidents. I said, were they aware of this? They said no. And then everybody was, as Fudge was like, move along. I was like, no, we're going to stay right here. Here's what ended up. I was pressing them. Everybody talking about all day voter program. I was like, I don't want to hear all that. The next day they had a panel meeting. And they calculated there were 120 D9 chapters in Ohio alone. And I said that if each one of those chapters committed to get 1,000 signatures for the petition, the D9 alone could supply 1/3 of the necessary petitions. What shocked them was the 120. They had never calculated. So it goes to the point that Congressman Al Green, we have all this capacity, but we're operating as these individual organizations as opposed to how can we move as a unit to be able to change our community?
Well, I think you pointed out the capacity and what you can do politically, but you can't get away from the message of what's going on. They just passed a bill, the big ugly bill, that cuts Medicaid, cuts food stamps, cuts access to college in order to fund tax cuts for the wealthy. And after they've done that, they run up $3.4 trillion in debt. We have to make sure that message gets out.
Right.
And one thing you can do is all those chapters, make sure the word gets out. If everybody gets a couple of thousand people that message.
And it has no impact on your IRS status because that's just information.
We don't want to be diverted that people want to talk about Epstein and everything else. No, we want to talk about they're taking away your health care and we don't want to change the subject. And so if we can focus on issues, then you can get into voter registration and get out the vote and make sure you can change some of these seats so they don't have the votes to pull this stuff off.
Dr. WURD, the creation of this PAC, again, what that says is that you can have members of an organization. The IRS allows for a political action committee, but which is separate from what the organization does. The NRA has always been a 501c3 and a 501c4. They do gun education. That's the main part of the NRA, but then they have a political arm. Right. And too many of our groups, frankly, have been afraid to go there out of fear. Oh my God, this is going to affect our tax status. PAC was created. Why? And what's your focus for 2026?
Well, we created the Alpha PAC for exactly what you said. We have to raise money to support candidates who support our issues. That's why we were formed in 2019. If you will remember, there was a critical election in Georgia, and we helped raise money, helped with the ground game with Senator Raphael Warnock. So what we realized... An alpha. But what we realize is that we have to be engaged in politics 365 days of the year. So when we formed the Alpha PAC, we said we're going to endorse candidates. First of all, we're going to screen them to make sure they are focused on the issues that are important to us. We don't want to hear any more come to the black church in October, talk about who you know, and then you leave. But we want to look at your legislative agenda. We want to see your voting record. We want to see how serious you are. and then we'll consider you. But we raised money. That's how we got started. We just today met as an organization and listened to the issues that are impacting our community. We just passed a motion that we're going to do everything we can to make sure that we help Congressman Al Green and Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett because they've been targeted. We're not going to let them go. In 2024.
Well, they're targeting all the black, and they're targeting Congressman Al Green, Congressman Jasmine Crockett, Congressman Mark Veazey, Congresswoman Sylvia Garcia. They want to get rid of all 4 of those in Texas.
And what we're going to do is make Texas a priority, raise money. We're going to have a ground game. We supported unapologetically Lisa Blunt Rochester in Delaware. We supported unapologetically Angela Alsabrook in Maryland. They got elected, but we are proud to say we were on the right side, and now we have 2 black females in the U.S. Senate. We supported members of the Congressional Black Caucus, but we are now going to move beyond just federal. Mm-hmm. And now our PAC is going to go to local candidates, because what this political, let me just be careful, Roland. What's happening in this
show called Roland Martin Unfiltered. So,
yes, sir.
You ain't got to be careful. You don't want to.
What we're going to do.
Well, you can tell me and I'll say it.
We're going to stand firm as a PAC, along with others, to make sure we are going to stand against the turn back of time. Mm-hmm. We're not going back to the days of 1940 and 1930. This is 2025, 2026, 2020. We're going to raise money. We're going to help candidates get elected. And that's what the Alpha PAC is all about.
Teresa, I keep saying to black folks, and some people got mad at this, I said, listen, don't send your money to a presidential campaign, don't send it to a party. I said, send it to black groups who you know are going to put the money on the ground.
That's
because
right.
The reality is too many white consultants want to put the money in television. They don't want to fund ground games. They don't want to go to neighborhoods, and that's a problem. Mm-hmm. And so when we create our own PACs, we can say to our people, send it to our groups who we know is going to get the money to our folk.
That's right.
You know, that's a great example. We have a collective PAC, and I think their thing was a Win with Black Men, and that was when Kamala Harris was running during those 100 days, and I think you hosted on one of them.
I don't think I did host it.
Oh, okay, I was making sure.
But what happened was folk got mad, and I cussed them out
because
too.
you organized.
Well, no, they got mad because we raised $1.5 million.
Right.
But we kept $400,000 and didn't send it to the Harris campaign. And literally one person, I ain't gonna name this very prominent person, got mad. I said, oh, I'm gonna do it again. And she was like, excuse me? I said, we not gonna send the money and then beg for it to come back.
Correct. Right.
We said, no, we gonna send 1.1, but we gonna keep 400,000, and we're gonna send directly to black male groups ourselves.
Yeah, and that's where I was going with that. So the money that was raised during that, again,
that was my idea. That's why we did it. Yeah.
Well, incredible idea, because even though, you know, that was a national PAC, we heard it, the floodgates opened up so much locally. Like, I was getting texts from everybody like, hey, have you heard this PAC? I'm like, well, who's a part of it, right? Because it was those type of, yes, we had the resources, but also it was a continuous momentum of engagement that was happening, not only with virtual calls, but I was getting newsletters, I was getting text messages, I was getting more than what the national party was doing. So I totally agree when it comes to putting your money back into African-American organizations, because we know where the money is going to go directly. Right. It's going to go straight to the district and the people that need it the most.
And Candace, again, people need to understand, we don't have to wait for a candidate to get us excited, to inspire us. We literally can be replicating exactly what happened, Win with Black Women, Win with Black Men, Vice President Kamala Harris, for school board races, city races, county government races, state rep, state senate, Congress, and all the way up.
Yeah. Everybody do a Google right now and see exactly where all the senators started. It's normally on a county board. Senator Mitch McConnell, he was local, right? We know a lot of people who are in the race and in the game because they started locally. So that's really the important thing here, is to teach people on a local level how to rise up, because they're not just going to, go be a governor. you have to have some experience. You have to show the people that you know the roads. So what you did with that money and what you did in terms of raising that money and bringing people awareness of the capacity and the power of African-American men and African-American women. I mean, I'm still getting, job newsletters from them, like you said. It didn't just stop there. And that was another thing that's very important about organizing and creating a coalition so that people understand that it's not just about the voting. It's about other things that are kind of trickle down and that you have to be in the trenches for in order to make sure that democracy is working.
Representative Green, again, I keep making the point, I look at numbers. Texas has the largest number of eligible black voters than any state in the union.
Exactly.
61% of Texas is minority, black, Latino, Asian American, Native American. Yet 61% of the people who vote are white. And so it's untapped power that exists in Texas. And that's why Republicans have a lock on that state. And so I keep saying, if we vote at capacity, we can absolutely change elections all across the country.
Yes. And to add to the information you're sharing, whites are less than 40% of the population, but they have 66% of the congressional seats. And they're going to take more. They want to add 5 more to that number. So yes, but it does take mobilizing, and it also takes someone who knows how to spend the money once we get it.
Right.
Because too often that money never goes to the black press. That money never goes to the people who know the community.
No black consultants, no black PR people, no black pollsters.
You're stealing all of my thunder. But yes, I'm in complete agreement. And let me just thank you again for your bringing this message to the masses, because too often we don't get a chance to hear the truth about how things are functioning. After the election is over, black people are blamed for not voting.
Right.
Well, black people didn't vote because we didn't take care of business when we had the opportunity to. And that has to be said. It does. So thank you again.
Congressman Scott, perfect example. Critical state elections in Virginia this year. You talk about statewide positions. You talk about the House. Democrats control the House. Don Scott remains Speaker of the House, first black Speaker of the House in Virginia history. Then you have, of course, Louise Lucas controlling the money on the Senate side. You got the House Majority Leader, a black woman. And so you have African Americans in positions of power. They maintain that power. Guess what? They then can drive an agenda.
And that's, you don't want to get away from what the agenda is. We talk about all the politics and all that. But on the federal, and we have elections in Virginia, we got to take care of business. On the federal level, where Alan and I are serving, they're trying to get rid of the Department of Education. Equal opportunity to education is at risk. And you got to remember that Donald Trump appointed dozens of judges that would not say during their confirmation hearing whether or not they thought Brown v. Board of Education was properly decided. I mean, they're going to issues that we haven't heard before. Issues like we've complained about what they've done. People were having financial problems 4 years ago. We had the American Rescue Plan Act, where we put family of 4, $5,000 in stimulus checks in their pockets, $6,000 in child tax credits over the year, thousands more in enhanced SNAP benefits if they lost a job, more money. I mean, we actually, if you look at the difference between, in policy, what happens when one side is in charge and another side is in charge, all of the work that we're talking about getting done has an effect, has a result of policy.
Now, before I go to Dr. Ward with the final comment, and in the midst of it, you didn't want to talk about it, and I understood. But all these folk, they kill me when they say, man, the CBC ain't doing nothing, I ain't heard nothing, all this sort of stuff. When Biden and Harris were there and Democrats controlled the House, folk like you were on committees. Y'all were not out there yelling and screaming and putting stuff out. Y'all were doing the work. But the billions that went to HBCUs, the billions that went to education, because folk like you were sitting on critical committees handling legislation. Just explain to people what that means, that everything is not having your name on a bill and getting all the attention, how you can impact public policy, being a member of Congress, sitting on a committee.
Well, I was chair of the committee for 4 years, and we got more money for HBCUs than they'd ever seen in the history of HBCUs. We got more money for low income, for housing, for education, for criminal justice reform. I mean, there are things you can do when you're chairs of committees that you can't do when the other side is running their agenda. And that's why all of the work that we're talking about is so important.
Hold on. I just want people to know. I called Congressman Scott. He was like, listen, I can't come on right now. I'm busy right now. He said, so we need to get all this done as quickly as we can. We may not be here long. No, seriously. And I got it. And I said, don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. But your deal was you weren't trying to get your name in the lights. You were trying to get the money to the people.
Well, and I was chairing the Education and Labor Committee. 1 million people were about to lose their pensions under the Multi-Employer Pension Fund. 1 million. We fixed those problems in the American Rescue Plan Act. Just no cuts in benefits. Just fixed it. And you can do things like that. It's safe. And by the way, tens of thousands of businesses were legally obligated to pay into the failing funds till businesses went broke. But we fixed that, and those are the kinds of things you can do. 1 million people could go to bed at night thinking, well, now I've got my pension, I don't have to worry about what am I'm going to do. On the other hand, you can go after people's health care, you can go after SNAP benefits, you can take away their access to college. In this big, ugly bill, your ability to go to college is seriously compromised.
Yep. Absolutely. Which means that if Democrats take control of the House after next year's election, you back as chair.
That's right. And we'll be in a position to fix a lot of the damage done. We can get the Pell Grants back up to where they are, have student loans where they are. Student loans, the payments are going to be about double what they were under Biden. The affordable Obamacare premiums are going up, I've heard 70% when people sign up in December because of what they did and didn't do in this legislation.
Representative Green, you want to say something? Go ahead.
I want to add a couple of things quickly. Under the leadership of the Honorable Maxine Waters on financial services, we were able to put money in the hands of small businesses, but more specifically, we were allocating money to go to minority businesses. When you have a person who understands the needs of the community, then you can move to meet those needs. I would also add that she currently has legislation to put $100 million into helping people who need money to buy a house. Right now, young people, first-time home buyers, are having difficulties. They need some subsidy to help them buy that first home. And finally this, on the topic of voting, one vote makes a difference because the big, ugly steal passed by one vote. The 18th Congressional District was not represented in Congress. The governor of the state of Texas chose to put the election off until November. And in doing that, we were denied that one vote that would have made a difference. I assure you, a representative from the 18th Congressional District would have voted against it. One vote can make a difference.
I'm going to end with this, Dr. Ward. You were talking about funding of what happened on the local level. And I've said this literally for years. People look at how much money it takes to run for president, the United States Senate, and Congress. But the reality is, if $25,000 is raised on a local level, you could literally fund a majority of the people running for school board. And if those 5 people, it's a 9-member school board, they now have the majority.
That's right.
They control the process. Mm-hmm. So people need to be thinking just different. We're not talking about, oh my God, we got to go raise $5 million. No, literally, in many of these places, in a lot of these top places, there are a lot of bedroom communities where cities, where black people are the majority in a lot of these cities, and we're not represented on those school boards because we're not funding our candidates.
Right. Well, I think clearly what we've got to do is politics is 365 days of the year. What you've just heard is you have defined roles that everybody needs to play. Our standing members of Congress need to do exactly what they're doing, but we need to do what we need to do on the ground. That's why the Alpha PAC, we decided there's 2 tracks to our effort. 3, actually. Raise money, but then train people who are interested in running for public office how to run for public office. And then the third is what we talked about earlier. We've got to train individuals to work in these campaigns at the executive level to make sure that when that local school board member wants to run, that they've got someone who's trained and prepared professionally to run that campaign, raise money, recruit candidates, and then third, have someone who can run those campaigns. That's the mission that we've got to be about, especially now. A county commissioner is very important.
Yeah.
School board members very important. State legislatures are very important. What we see is, just like folk did to end Reconstruction, they took back the state house, they took back the local races. Yeah. And it wasn't until the 1960s, when the Voting Rights Act came, that we started turning everything back. That's why they're going after the Voting Rights Act. That's why they're trying to kill the Department of Education. But we are strong people, and we're going to win in the end.
People in the chat ask, who can give to the Alpha PAC? Only Alphas? Can anybody?
Anybody can give.
Okay,
Anyone can give.
Come on now. You need
like a preacher. Tell yes, sir. www.alphapac.net. You can give, and to your point, give $20, give $25, give whatever you can. Every dollar is important.
That's right. So give $20, roll them out unfiltered, then give $20. That's
right.
That's Dr. Wood, I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bobby Scott, Congressman Al Green, my Alpha brothers, I appreciate it. Thank you so very much. And for all your other little youth groups out there, Henry, he Lil Omega, and Terrell in the studio, he's Sigma. Let me keep remind y'all, there are more Alphas in Congress than any other fraternity or sorority. So remember who your daddy is. Henry, take a seat, because we even dominate y'all Omegas. We'll be right back. Roland Martin Unfiltered right here on the Black Star Network.
On the next Get Wealthy with me, Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, Black women are starting businesses at the fastest rate than any other segment. However, finding the funding to build them is challenging. On our next Get Wealthy, we're going to talk with author Catherine Finney, who wrote the book, Build the Damn Thing. And she's going to be sharing exactly what we need to do to achieve success in spite of the odds.
As an entrepreneur of color, it's first, building your personal advisory board. I think that's one of the things that's helped me the most. The personal advisory board of the people who are in the business of you personally, and want to see you succeed.
That's right here on Get Wealthy, only on Black Star Network.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol, we've seen shooting.
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. The window to invest in Fanbase is closing. We've raised over $10.6 million of our $17 million goal. That means there's room for less than 6,370 people to invest in Fanbase for the average amount. The minimum to invest in Fanbase right now is $399. That makes you an owner in Fanbase today. Go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. Why? Because current social apps have taken advantage of users for far too long, with content suppression, shadow banning, harmful racist content, and no real tools for monetization and equity. Fanbase has over 1.4 million users and counting, allowing anyone to reach all their following and monetize their content from day one. Social media is the new TV, and whoever owns the apps that distribute that content have the opportunity to own potential billion-dollar companies. While big platforms with uncertain futures are failing to serve their users, Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now, invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the next generation of social media.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it.
This is about covering us.
Invest in black-owned media.
Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks.
We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible.
Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
How you doing? My name is Mark Carey, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. Deep into it, like pasteurized milk without the 2%. We getting deep. You want to turn that shit off? We're doing an interview, motherfucker.
We're here in Philadelphia. This is a live shot. They're getting ready for the STEP show, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. So we are here at the National Convention in Philadelphia. Folks joining us right now, Roy Tatum is the newly appointed chair of the Political and Civic Engagement Committee for the fraternity. Roy, glad to have you here.
Honored to be here.
Let's get right to it. Bishop William Barber spoke yesterday and laid out in detail the numbers. When you talk about Georgia, it's a critical Senate election next year. North Carolina, critical Senate election. And when you talk about North Carolina, the Black Belt, which is really East North Carolina, not fully tapped in terms of a lot of black votes there. And so what will fraternity members do in terms of mobilize and organize specifically in those two states where we could have a huge impact on who the United States Senator is in Georgia and North Carolina?
One of the things I would say that the President Metellus has charged us with training all of our chapters in engaging in at the local level. So in North Carolina and Georgia specifically, I've spoken with the district directors, chapter presidents to engage their chapters and offer any level of training that they feel is needed. And they have graciously accepted. We just had a meeting where Congressman Scott and Congressman Green attended, and it was very well received, the mission that we are looking to embark upon. So we are working with Voteless People as a Hopeless People and the Commission on Racial Justice, and also as I lead the Commission on Political and Civic Engagement, I'm where the rubber meets the road. And so basically what we are going to do is operationalize the plans for that Alpha Phi Alpha has promoted for over a century, so chapters can engage at the local level, because we know that all politics is local.
Right, but it has to be, I think, granular. I was last year, I was in Ohio. Actually, I was in Ohio, I was in Michigan, I was in different states. And I happened to go into this black-owned restaurant in Cincinnati. And I'm sitting there, and a brother came up to me. He wanted a photo. He told me he was frat, and he said, we're getting ready tomorrow to do voter registration at the football game. He was talking about the Bengals game. And I said, why y'all at the Bengals game? And he said, what do you mean? I said, okay, how much time are you going to spend at the Bengals game? And how many people do you think you're going to register the Bengals game? I said, as opposed to going down to the Board of Elections, identifying the 10 largest black precincts in Cincinnati, and then pulling the data to see how many registered voters are in each one of those precincts and how many people voted in those precincts. I said, and then take your members and say, we're going to do block walking on the folks who actually didn't vote. And he was shocked and stunned. He said, we can do that? I said, yes. I said, I believe that you're expending significant amounts of energy with a low return on that investment, as opposed to saying, no, we're going to focus on this one precinct. That's, to me, I think what has to happen in North Carolina and Georgia. Okay, you take who the folks who did not vote, and how do we all of a sudden say we're going to hit this small town on this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, this small town in order to drive the vote? To me, that's what has to happen. That's how we maximize our power. Limited resources, but maximize the resources.
You just offered what we call a data-driven strategy. And basically what we're saying is, one of the things that I'm happy to announce, and many people may not know this, is that we have an MOU with the NAACP. And what that means is, with the NAACP, we can utilize and tap into their resources as well, because they have access to the VAN, the Voter Access Network, which costs hundreds of thousands of dollars to access. So that with that tool, we can go in and see the data. We can see who's voted, we can see who's not voted, we can see who's registered to vote, we can see who's not registered to vote. And we can do that by zip code, we can do that by city, we can do that by the state. And so for what you just stated, as a precinct, we can definitely attack low voter turnout and low voter engagement by going to the barbershops in those communities, by going to the grocery stores in those communities, by going to the black church in that community, and obviously tapping into the other fraternities and sororities as well, because all of us have some level of voter engagement. And so if we want to maximize our efforts, we have to tap into Delta Sigma Theta, Alpha Kappa Alpha, Omega Psi Phi, Kappa Alpha Psi, as not just Alpha Phi Alpha, because, you know, all of us together living in the community, we can definitely make an impact that way. So,
you know, I'm wondering, what is it that you do that you think is the most effective in terms of, you know, old school, we're talking about going down, you know, door to door and collecting emails and things of that nature, figuring out who's not voting and is voting. But in terms of 2025, kind of a modern day approach, how would you compare the two?
Well, I would say I've been in the world of politics since 1995, so I know what it's like to use a green bar report to go knock on doors, to use sheets of paper to register people to vote. And in comparison to you accessing the VAN network, what I believe has to happen is we have to have a combination of high tech and high touch. Because what we see now, many people are just leaning into the high tech. Yeah. And they're losing the high touch.
Oh, we've sent 40,000 text messages. Yeah. We've sent, man, I get these damn text messages. I'm like, Lord, if y'all send me one more.
Right.
But again, you got to, because here's the thing. When you touch somebody,
yes,
sister, our records show you didn't vote.
Right. Right.
Can I ask you why?
And she may have been in the
do
hospital.
that.
She may have been in the hospital when it was time to vote.
Right.
She may have had a car accident, or she may just say, "Well, baby, I forgot."
That's
or she may say, "You know what? I ain't hear from nobody."
There you go.
See, again, to me, I think sometimes you can be so new school that you act like old school don't work. Right. But it does.
And that's why people lean into the high tech. Plus, it's easy. You ain't got to be in nobody's face. And most people, you know, here's the thing. You know, people can say that they're supportive of a certain candidate until you get into their face and say, why?
Right.
Why? Why do you support this candidate? Or why do you think this candidate is better than another candidate? And they really can't explain to you why they bought into that person's brand or they bought into that campaign's brand, but they can't give you a policy point to why they're supporting that campaign. And so when we are able to hit the street with talking points, with policy points, with what are the consequences if you cast your vote in this direction, then we can influence people in how to vote.
And the thing very here, you obviously, if they're moving as an organization, they can't endorse. But what they can say is, on these 4 issues,
yes, sir,
this candidate agrees with this. This candidate doesn't. Ma'am, here you go.
Right. And that's absolutely the approach.
That's allowed.
Yeah.
That's absolutely the approach of Political and Civic Engagement Committee and this Social Justice Committee that Alpha Phi Alpha is forming. We are not candidate-based. We are not personality-based. We are issue-based. So we will have positions on education. We will have positions on diversity, equity, and inclusion. We will have positions on business and entrepreneur development and leadership. We will have positions on the environment and climate. And so these are the things that we plan to take to our local elected officials, our state elected officials, and obviously we'll ultimately have a Alpha Advocacy Day on the Hill, which we definitely want to invite you to participate in, Brother Martin.
Before I go, Teresa, somebody said, this Stephanie Humphrey says, why do voters have to hear from somebody to vote? Well, first of all, a lot of folks don't vote. Last election, 90 million people did not vote.
That's right.
The reality is there are people who are living lives, who are doing things, they don't necessarily vote. As simple as that. Teresa, go ahead.
You know, it's so interesting that the Republicans kind of put this out and meant it for good on their end. But hearing from you and I guess what you guys were talking about during the conference and how you're going to be reactivating your alphas in all these areas, I'm just in awe.
Yeah.
Right? You know, I don't have to, and I'm sure people don't have to be a member because we're females of Phi Alpha fraternity, but I'm sure there are going to be local things that are happening in the districts where me and Candace could get involved and everyday folks. So for me, you know, I see the Republicans doing this as a way to make sure that they are in office. But I think what they did is actually reactivated the civic engagement portion because of what they've been doing these last couple of years to hurt our people and to roll back efforts. I now see this as an opportunity for us. I'm just very excited what you just said.
I'm excited too because we're forming a community. We have a community that people are excited to be engaged in the civic engagement process. Not everybody knows how to engage, and so that's why I think we see some low voter turnout or low engagement. People are intimidated to go to the city council or to go to the state legislature by themselves.
Yeah.
But if they can go with a crew, you know, they can go say, hey, wear your colors, wear your alpha tie, wear your alpha blazer. We all have those, and you know, we want to wear our alpha blazer, and then we can give them the talking points of the fraternity. They're excited, and then on top of that, find the person that represents you.
Yeah.
Who's the person that represents your neighborhood as we talk about the state legislature, and then they know who to talk to, and they have their talking points.
Yeah.
And so we look forward to this kind of activity all across the nation.
Yeah, I saw the Alpha Blazers out there. It didn't matter, it was 90 degrees. They were like, we got them on and we're going to help you win. That's right.
Because we ice cold, so the heat don't bother.
But you know, I'm wondering, how do you really get to a young person though? Because you're not going to be in their algorithm if they're not clicking on you. So how do you really get to that 18, 24-year-old, that one who's not in school learning exactly? Like they have to go outside of school to learn what you are giving. But how do they even find out about you when I have students that will be on here for 8-10 hours a day? And if you're not in their algorithm, it doesn't resonate. And I'm wondering, and this is where you come in.
I was literally about to tap in.
Yeah, you know, how do you connect that?
Good combination of high tech, high touch. Go ahead.
I love this high touch thing. Yes, we have to meet the people where they are, but I also think we need to listen to the issues of young people. They got their own issues, right? That's happening throughout their lives, right? From curfews to, you know, jobs to, you know, access into centers before the age of 18, you know, like, so they also have their own concerns. And what we've been seeing, especially on these mass media platforms, is that millennials, Gen X, Gen Y, I hate the whole generation, but the 18 to 24 age, they have been activating their voice through social content. And I think having some of those activators will also help, but also get them more informed and educated as they put themselves out there.
But those folks, let's be clear, those folks ain't just staying in the house. So they also still going outside, which means that you still have to be at those events, communicating and sharing with people. But I do think it is important, I don't care what the age is, where you actually ask folk first, what is it that you care about? When people come up to me all across the country, I don't care whether I'm at a convenience store, it could be in an airport, it could be walking down the street and somebody's like, man, what's going on? I can't believe this, and I want to do something, or I don't know what to do. And I always start this here. What are the 3 things you care about? Then they go, what do you mean? I'm like, there's something you care about.
Yeah.
What are the 3 things that you care about? And when I hit them with that, then they're like, this. had a brother. He was like, I care about education. I was like, got it. I said, you got kids? He said, yeah. How old are your kids?
Yeah.
He told me, I said, you in the PTA? He said, no. I said, so how do you care about education?
There you go.
And he went, damn.
Right.
He's like, damn, dog, you hit me straight. I said, no, seriously. I said, how can you tell me that one of your 3 issues is education, but you're not even in the PTA? I said, I need you to answer this. Who do you think is going to save education if you are not involved? And he was like, man, I ain't never thought about it like that. I'm like, precisely. So part of the problem is people are looking for somebody else to do something. And so I think by asking that, now you're forcing them to define those 3 things. And now you're trying to say, but what you gonna do? So that's the other challenge there. And then when that happens, that now changes the conversation because now they have to be a part of the solution. But you can't do that unless you touch somebody, which is why I believe the precinct, the precinct block walking is so critically important when you talk. And again, and tailoring your time. I just don't believe in just sort of this broad thing. It's supposed to like, no. If I could move 50 votes in this precinct and 50 in that one, and I got to remind people, Obama won North Carolina in 2008 by 14,100 votes. It was literally less than 1 vote per precinct. That's how he won the state. Right. And so that's what we're talking about. The woman who just got elected to the North Carolina Supreme Court, she won by 755 votes. Yeah. Sherry Beasley, when she lost the Chief Justice race, she lost by 401 votes. 401. And there were more than 100,000 black people in North Carolina who didn't vote. In fact, I was, Bishop Barber and I were talking, we were texting today. And again, this is the data he presented yesterday. I'm about to mess y'all up. In Georgia, 1,016,000 black people in Georgia did not vote. Trump won by 115,000 votes. In North Carolina, 661,000 black people did not vote. Trump won by 183,000.
Our silence is literally killing us. Yes.
Yeah.
Our silence is literally killing us.
661,000 in North Carolina.
Yeah.
1,016,000 in Georgia did not vote. Overall, 90 million people didn't vote. 40% of black voters nationwide did not vote. Even with a black woman on the ticket. 70% of white evangelicals voted for Trump. And Mike Johnson is the Speaker of the House, and he's Speaker of the House by 7,000 votes. They won the seats that gave them the House. They won those seats by 7,000 votes. That's why every little, that 20 here and 30 here, that's the election.
2 things, the 20 here and 30 here, you know how we do, we tell 20 and 30 other people, so it's not just the 20 and 30, right? It grows, and that's how we talk. But the other thing is this, we have such a serious messaging problem in that even when you say those numbers, if I'm someone who doesn't really understand the power of my vote, and I'm going out on a day-to-day in my community, and I'm being treated like I do not count. And I'm being told I do not count because I didn't get the loan, I didn't get the house, I can't, my loan has doubled, for my student education, my kids, might be on opioids, I don't have insurance. All of that is very, very defeating, and I think that's the balance that we are dealing with. The messaging really, and the things that you're doing, that's why it's so important, because you continue to hear that message, then you can fight the other messages that people are continuing to tell, even us on any given day. Right. But we kind of have different tools in order to deal with it.
We understand that life be lifing.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly.
And so the thing is our votes, our voice, make our lives better.
Yeah. And that's the translation that I don't think a lot of people get.
But that's why I keep saying the organizations have to actually do it.
That's right.
Because what happens is if you're waiting for the candidate to do it, then it's not going to happen. And so that's why what I keep saying to the organizations, this is where we can fill the gap because, again, we are self-funded. We can handle ourselves. We can be in control of that, and we don't have to ask somebody's opinion. When we do it, we're not asking some white's campaign strategy.
Right.
We're not asking them, hey, please, pretty please, can we do this? We're like, yeah, we're going here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I keep saying to people, if you want to give money, all right, give money to groups that are actually doing it. When you support Black Voters Matter, we know that money is going to folk on the ground. It's going to Black-owned media. It's going to Black strategists. That's the whole point. I just think a lot of people don't understand that.
Yep.
All right. Roy, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right, folks, got to go to a break. We come back. A couple more things we want to talk about right here. We're at the Alpha Convention in Philadelphia. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Again, don't forget to support the work that we do. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. Your dollars make it possible to do the work that we do. And understand, I tell people all the time, y'all, none of this stuff is free. Driving our vehicle down here wasn't free. The gas wasn't free. The driver ain't free. The staff ain't free. The power ain't free. And so we talk about having our own and building our own. That's actually what it takes because we're not funded by millionaires and billionaires. We're fighting these ad agencies every single day when it comes to resources. So your support absolutely is critical. If you want to support us via Cash App, use the Stripe QR code. You see it right here on the screen. Click the Cash App button, the pay button to contribute. You can also use that QR code for credit cards as well. Check some money order. Make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered. Send it to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 2003-7-0196. PayPal, R. Martin Unfiltered. Venmo, RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. We'll be right back.
This week on The Other Side of Change.
We're digging into the immigration crisis that's happening here right now.
It can impact each and every one of us. We're going to break down the topic of this constitutional crisis that is being led by the Trump administration and what you, as ordinary citizens, can do to speak up and speak out to fight back. This is The Other Side of Change, only on the Black Star Network.
Now streaming on the Black Star Network.
I had been trying to get a record deal for a long time. You know, when I finally got signed to the Motown record label in 2003, I was 34, 35 years old. And up until that time, I had been trying to get record deals the traditional way. You know, you record your demo, you record your music, and you send it, you know, to the record labels, or maybe somebody, a friend of a friend, knows somebody that works for, you know, the record label. And really, chemistry was... That was my last-ditch effort at being in the music business.
How long have you been trying?
I've been trying since I was a teenager. Wow. You know? And you know, and I'm grateful that it didn't. I'm grateful that it happened when it happened, because I wasn't prepared, you know, as a teenager to embrace all that comes with a career in the music industry.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. The window to invest in Fanbase is closing. We've raised over $10.6 million of our $17 million goal. That means there's room for less than 6,370 people to invest in Fanbase for the average amount. The minimum to invest in Fanbase right now is $399. That makes you an owner in Fanbase today. Go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. Why? Because current social apps have taken advantage of users for far too long, with content suppression, shadow banning, harmful racist content, and no real tools for monetization and equity. Fanbase has over 1.4 million users and counting, allowing anyone to reach all their following and monetize their content from day one. Social media is the new TV, and whoever owns the apps that distribute that content have the opportunity to own potential billion-dollar companies. While big platforms with uncertain futures are failing to serve their users, Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now, invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the next generation of social media.
This is Motown recording artist Kim. You are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. That boy, he always unfiltered, though. I ain't never known him to be filtered. Is there another way to experience Roland Martin than to be unfiltered? Of course he's unfiltered. Would you expect anything less? Watch what happens next.
Live in Philadelphia at the Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated National Convention. Folks are getting ready for the Step Show on this Friday. We are glad to be here, of course, talking, doing our show, talking about all the great things that have happened, not only with Alpha, but also just with all of the stuff that we are covering as well. And so we are just, again, glad to be here. So let's talk about a couple of things, folks. And y'all know we always talk about the importance of black-owned media. And the reality is we are living in a very different time today. We see what is happening in this landscape, dwindling voices, if you will, especially when it comes to black talk radio. And here in Philadelphia, WURD radio has had to deal with that. They recently had some layoffs that have impacted the station, and a lot of people are concerned about that. And we talk a lot about it on this show. Y'all, media is driven by advertising.
That's right.
And the reality is $350 to $400 billion is spent every single year on advertising. Black-owned media gets anywhere from 0.5 to 1%. Okay, I want you to hear what I just said. That's all black-owned media. That's, take your pick, that's Urban One, that's Black Enterprise, that's Essence, that's everybody. 0.5 to 1%. Now, many of these companies have market share. The black market share is 20, 30, 40%. So their spend does not compare at all to how black folks are supporting their products. And so that's what's going on, which also means that black folks have to be stepping up to support black-owned media. Joining us right now to talk about what's happening at WURD is the host of Evening Words, Dr. James Peterson. Glad that he can join us. Of course, still have my panel here, Teresa Lundy, Candace Kelly. Joining us is Andy Pierre, Chief Political Strategist, founder of Fox and Lion Communications. Glad to have you here with us as well. James, take us through because, I mean, look, WURD is fighting a good fight. WVON in Chicago fighting a good fight. And folks are always saying, oh, my God, I love listening to WURD. I love listening to VON. Oh, my God, Roland, I really love your show. And that's one of the reasons why, like when I purposely said, yo, the power is going to cost us $1,800. That's a real
Well, the lights
deal.
are bright, bro. The lights are bright.
Well, damn right, the lights are bright. You damn right.
Pay for that.
Right, because I paid for some good-ass lights. You absolutely right. Those lights cost about 10 grand. You know, but again, I do that because I need people to understand that this stuff don't just happen. It costs money to run a media enterprise.
It does. Yeah. It does. I mean, there's a slightly happy ending to our story, Roland. First of all, thank you for having me on, and thank you for supporting WURD, especially through these tumultuous times. But WURD serves the black community here in the city of Philadelphia. And as you might imagine, during the 2024 presidential cycle, everybody was coming through. They all wanted to come to WURD. Everybody wanted to come on WURD. But that's great. We did that work. We continue to do the work. Folks know that because it's been publicized in the media that we had to lay some folks off. That's above my pay grade. Sarah Lomax and the Lomax family, who own the station and have operated for 20 plus years, had to make some tough decisions because of a lawsuit that's been filed. I'm not really authorized to speak on all the details of it, but some of that's also been published as well.
Yeah, we talked about it here on the show.
Yeah, and so the layoffs happened, but the good news is that we did a fundraising campaign just about a month ago. We set a modest goal of $20K for the month of June. We raised almost $70,000 in that campaign. So a lot of those folks who say, "Hey, we love to listen to WURD. We love what you guys are doing." Some of those folks $5.
Okay, so that was y'all campaign for June. What was y'all number for July?
That's an excellent question.
And what's your number for August?
That's an excellent question. That's excellent. Now, what I think that our team was excited about the community being galvanized and energized in that one particular moment. I'm sure we'll see more WRD fundraising.
No. It has to happen. I mean, seriously. Listen, people. I love when these haters talk, and I don't really give a damn about haters. Oh man, you always begging for money. I'm like, because bills are monthly.
Yes, they are.
The reality is, in my office, we don't have regular Wi-Fi.
That's right.
We got fiber.
That's right.
That fiber costs me $2,500 every month, whether we are in it or not. And so I purposely put that out there because what happens is I don't want our people only supporting us
in crisis
when the glass has been broken in case of emergency.
Right.
It has to become a regular thing, and that has to be there because people say, "Oh my God, y'all really important." What you deem important is how you spend your money.
That's right. That's
and
right.
if you think that Starbucks every day is important, the reality is if you don't drink Starbucks for a week, you can give that to WRD or to this show, to some other black-owned media. That's just real.
And I would just add to that, Roland, that concept is at a premium right now. You see what they did to Colbert, right?
Yes.
I mean, they're crushing dissent. And there's a lot of ways in which there are a lot of end arounds to undermine black media. There's a lot of different ways to do it, but we do need our communities and our people to come out and support out of their pockets on a regular basis. If you like what black media does, if you understand the importance of the voice, the interventions that we can make in these critical times, you got to come out and support.
Well, first of all, let me clarify. You like what black-owned media? That focuses on news and information.
That's right.
Because, Andy, part of the issue that I have, and I make this all the time, is that we support a lot of bullshit. No, I don't care. Everybody knows I despise Zeus Network. But they've got thousands upon thousands of people who pay that money every month to watch bullshit. Yet when stuff jumps off, oh man, we ain't know, because you were watching bullshit. And so we have to go there. Now, see, Doc, he like, damn, bro. But the reason I have to say that is because we are bemoaning today, man, what happened to Jet? What happened to Ebony? All that sort of stuff. The media landscape has changed. And so we just have to sometimes just put it out there and challenge our folk to say, we're going to need you to support. Go ahead, you go speak to that. Hold the microphone up.
So the thing is, black media has played a very big role as far as our successes politically and
black-owned.
Black-owned.
And I keep making that distinction because there's black media, there's black-targeted media that we don't own.
Correct.
This is true. So now in Baltimore City, for instance, like Fox News pretty much controls our city, right? Now, when it comes down to black-owned media outlets.
Baltimore.
Yes.
Right.
So the black-owned media.
Sinclair Television owns the Fox affiliate.
Yep.
That same guy bought the Baltimore Sun.
Yep. That's
right.
And he uses that to hammer the mayor constantly in Baltimore.
Exactly.
That's right.
Shout out to Mayor Scott.
And so now the thing is that black media is generally the only outlets that are talking about the good things that is going on, that the black leaders are doing. They're, like when you look at the other media outlets, if it's bleeding, it's leading. And so it's like, doesn't matter what progresses we make, unless we are supporting and we're looking at what the black-owned media outlets are putting out, and we're clicking their links and we're sharing their links, then we'll always continue to be buried, and we'll always continue to complain about the fact that we're not getting the opportunities that we should be getting.
See, Teresa, it is a mistake that people realize they don't really make. So my grandmother owned a catering business, and so the reason I have the view that I have because I watched it. So they live 8 blocks from us. All right, so I would always be over there after school. My brother and I started with a catering business. We were 7, 8 years old. So I knew what it was like to sit on the couch. The bride's daddy or the grooms were sitting there with me. We watching TV, and the bride and her mama in there with my grandmother booking the wedding. And I would sit there, and I'm talking about the booking, it might be 4, 5, 6 hours. And they sitting there going through everything. We're going to do silk flowers, fresh flowers. We're going to do glass, plastic, we're going all this sort of stuff. And nearly every time they sit there and they get to the bottom, my grandmother got her legal pad and then get to the bottom, and it might be 14, 15, 17, 18,000. And then folks like, oh, Miss Lamont, I'm sorry. You know, all we had was, we just had about 6,000. Why y'all asked to come here and tell me you had $6 grand? And I sat here and spent all this damn time. And so that's how, so I'm watching that because here's what I understood. My grandmother could not charge what she needed to charge, and she didn't, which means that she paid us less. Right. That impacted her being able to run her business. Absolutely. And so that ain't how Ro do it. Yeah. So people call me and they like, hey man, we would love for you to live stream this event. Okay, where? Oh, it's gonna be in this city. Gotcha. How long? Okay, hit a number. We can't. That's bigger than our budget. I'm like, we won't be there. Now I say that because folks are always asking, can you cover this? Can you cover this? Can you cover this? And I literally go, you do know that stuff costs. Absolutely. And I told you, I'm petty. Right. I have the database of all 36,000 donors. I will run your name. And I'll be like, this person has never supported our show, but you want me to show up to broadcast from your event.
At a discount. Yeah, you know, Roland, you're totally right. And, you know, as a fellow business owner myself, you know, I think when it comes to wholesale deals, we can only do but so much, right, at a certain time. But when you have Black-owned media, from the top on bottom, like, you know, if we look at the quality and excellence that I've been a part of this show for over 4 years now. I had to do the math the other day. And seeing it from a team of 2 to evolve from 10 plus.
We didn't have these lights.
And didn't have these lights.
We didn't have these cinematic cameras.
We didn't have these cinematic, like we got Netflix quality.
That $5,000 fly pad.
Absolutely.
Okay,
absolutely.
These monitors are new.
Absolutely.
I'm right. But as you grow.
So and that's the point. So again, and I can only take from my experience of seeing, you know, Roland just open the door of opportunity, right? I was brought in by a friend. That friend introduced, and you can't not have a voice when you're sitting alongside of Roland, you know. But what I will say is the growth has come like just as a very fast pace, and it's incredible to watch. So when people are reaching out, and, you know, I'm looking at the camera here, when you're reaching out and asking those, you know, to bring that same funk, that energy, you know, it is a cost, because what you don't want is somebody to come there and they're not giving you that excellent quality. So I totally get it. It's the same thing with our services. I have a nonprofit rate, I have a corporate rate, and I have a. Okay.
I don't have 2 rates.
I got
1 rate.
We got a nonprofit rate.
Because the invoice ain't 2 invoices. It's 1 invoice.
Well, maybe I got to step it up, you know?
Well, but see, I need people to understand why I'm so hardcore on this, because if WRD disappears,
right?
If VON disappears,
right?
If the Philadelphia Tribune disappears, right. we already see right now how we've been decimated in black-owned media.
Yeah,
that's right.
And folks sit here, and I have been saying for 2 decades now, Candace, we will rue the day.
That's right.
When we do not have black-owned media, and we're having to go ask somebody white for permission, can y'all please cover our stuff?
Crazy.
That is not a day we want to see.
No, and it is not a day that's going to happen in this administration.
Right.
And when we talk about Stephen Colbert or PBS or anybody else who is going through financial struggles, let's talk about Trump and suing the Wall Street Journal, and Trump and suing and winning against ABC, and Trump suing Paramount, which we know is connected to Stephen Colbert.
Yep.
When we look at that, we know that diversity of thought is something that the powers that be do not want. And the emphasis is on the word power, because they have the power to tell a Stephen Colbert that you're going to be off the air.
Crazy.
But the other thing is that we have to understand the numbers, and that when we talk about media like you, we are talking about Stephen Colbert on a good day was averaging 2.5 million. Roland, we know your numbers are good. We know your numbers are that good too. People have to understand, once again, the power that they have in order to go out there and do on their own. But it has to be Black-owned media, or else somebody can come and shut you down.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they're shutting the white boys down.
Because see, on the radio side, you had WBLS in New York.
Yep.
So when Inner City Broadcasting, Percy Sutton family owned it, but then when they got sold, guess what? They flipped that format, and what was a black radio station became a sports station.
That's right.
It became something else, and that's the thing that people have to understand. And so I want our people, again, not to respond in a state of emergency. Right. It has to be consistent and continuous.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about the sustainability of Black-owned media, and I think that's always been a challenge. Roland, you've done incredible work, as you know. Also, the benefit of being a second-generation entrepreneur, being in the room and hearing those things in your own family helps prepare you. And I feel like we need to understand, like, maybe we started this race a little bit late in this country when it comes to media, when it comes to ownership, but now it's like at a premium, we got to get caught up. And that sustainability that we're talking about is like, listen, we engage the community. We get a lot of requests to come out and do live remotes as well without people fully acknowledging the cost of coming out and do a live remote. We try to do those things as much as possible to stay engaged, but some of this is about giving our community the critical media literacy to kind of understand what the context is, because again, I believe people will support as long as we tell them what it is, what we bring to the table, and how they can support it.
And as long as you ask, you got to get that PBS model. You got to ask. You literally have to ask. Yeah, we don't have to tell you. But yeah.
Challenge, bro.
No, but seriously, I mean, because this is one of the things that, and I've had to have this conversation with other people, is they're like, man, well, you know, I don't know. I'm like, your ass want to be out of business? No, I have to be hardcore people like that, because the reality is it all cost. Yes, and what happens is, in too many of our cases, and I tell black people this constantly, we love to talk about, and we carry it as a badge of honor. Man, we've done a whole lot with little. I ain't trying to have that conversation. No, seriously.
I hear you.
It's a conversation for
right.
I don't want to survive conversation. I want to thrive conversation. And so like when we started, so when we laid out, it actually really was, I said we're going to do a for-profit, but it really was taking a nonprofit model by saying we have a fan club. And when I started, I also made clear, and I don't know exactly how y'all are doing it, but this is how I did it. I said, listen, let me clear. We ain't sending you no stuff. No, I was like, yo. I said, if I gotta send you hats, mugs, tote bags, I said, swag costs money. Postage costs money. So the reality is, if you gave $50, I said it might be $10 left. So I said, when you send money, you're investing in the show, and what are you getting? You're getting this 2 hours a day, 4 other shows, plus the live stuff that we covered. See, when people are watching us cover this congressional hearing or this live event,
or this convention,
they don't realize that I have to pay Associated Press $150 grand a year. When people say, man, I love the app, that's $140,000 a year. I run down the cost, because people need to understand that this stuff is real. So when you give, folks like, oh my goodness, man, I love you guys. It's not a Sprinter, but I love your new vehicle. That was $284,000. And so we can't do what we do if the support is not there. Absolutely. And again, that's how we have to be. And so it's critically important at folk in Philadelphia support the station, and we also have to be hardcore in telling folk, I'm sorry, we're not gonna be there. No, seriously, I ain't got a problem saying no.
We can't make it happen.
No,
right.
No is a complete sentence.
Yeah. I think it's a delicate balance, Roland, between.
Ain't delicate.
I think for us, it's a delicate balance because, number one, remember Philadelphia is the poorest big city in this country. It is.
No, hold up. No. See, Doc, hold up. See, you gonna make me. First of all, what little youth group you in?
They said this is why I couldn't be on the show.
What's that? What's that? I can't see it, Moby. What's that?
Omega Psi Phi.
Oh, yeah, because I don't even read the letters.
I don't know what the answer with WRD.
Right. See, let me tell you right now. See, here's the mistake. So seriously, this is the mistake you just made. One, April 3rd, 1968, Dr. King said in Mason Temple's last sermon, he said, individually black people are poor.
Yes.
He said collectively, we're one of the largest economies in the world.
Without question.
So the mistake that we make when we start with the premise, we're poor. No, we're not.
Yeah, let me finish, bro. I'm not coming from a deficit model. I'm giving you some context. The poverty rates in Philadelphia do matter in terms of the communities that we serve. We're not going to stop serving some of those communities, right? The organizations, nonprofit and otherwise, that work with them are sometimes our partners in the work that we have to do.
I got you.
It is a delicate balance to serve the community on the shoestring budgets of black-owned media.
And what I'm saying is that's cute, but I disagree. Because the bottom line is this here. If somebody says, man, I really love what y'all do, can you support with $1?
Exactly.
See, you can't keep telling me, man, this is so valuable, this is so needed. And I'll literally say, can you not buy one soft drink?
Right.
For one, there are people who give us $1 a month.
Wow.
That $1 is just as powerful as the person that gave me 1,000, because if 100 people give me $1 a month, that's $1,200 a year.
Yeah.
See, and when we do that, the person's like, damn, I ain't never thought about it. Yes, I'm asking you, if you think WRD is so valuable, I'm asking you not to buy a bag of chips once a month. No, that's how we have to reduce it.
Legit. Yeah.
And the person's like, damn, I ain't never really thought about it like that way. To me, that's how we have to do it. Because if you say it's that important, don't buy one bag of chips a month. That's all. I ask you, don't buy. That's $2.79.
Yeah, bag of chips is $2.79.
You throw in tax.
Yeah.
So I'm asking you, send us $3.
This is some expensive chips. Lord have mercy. But that's the truth. But you know what? I think that also people need to understand this whole idea of legacy media, and that what WURD is, what you are, the seeds that you planted. What were you, 2019 when this kicked off? 18?
7 years in September.
Yeah. So this is a new type of legacy media. When we talk about legacy media, we're talking about NBC, but this really is a legacy media. And if people understand how far that goes and what the images of seeing ourselves on television or on YouTube or wherever you might see them on your handheld, how that translates, because we know what the media has done to the black community and how we're portrayed.
But legacy is also changing. So
yeah, exactly. That's what it's changed.
So for instance, I wouldn't call WRD a radio station. You're not a radio station.
It's a platform.
No, you're a media company. Because you're doing audio. But in this digital world, you can also be doing video.
That's right.
Yep.
You can utilize AI to take what is spoken, turn those into written stories. Now you have that. So now you completely are changing.
Yeah.
You're going way beyond just that one particular medium.
Yeah.
And that's the world that's just the world that we're living in.
It is.
To now serve the audience.
To its credit, WURD is doing that. WURD has the app.
Yes.
My show is on Facebook, WURD Radio, Twitch. It's definitely doing that.
Hold on, but y'all are y'all on Facebook? Y'all on YouTube?
We have our YouTube page is not as active as
No. Y'all need to stop wasting time on Facebook. Okay,
You recommend YouTube?
Let me help. Oh, absolutely. First of all, Facebook demonetizes black news. They demonetize black content. Now, if you're doing entertainment and goofy shit, they actually fund that. But if you're doing news, absolutely. So y'all should be driving your folk to your YouTube channel, because YouTube's model is much more content creator friendly. Second of all, it's the largest video platform in the world. Netflix is number 2.
Right.
And so once you hit a certain number of hours and viewing hours on YouTube, you now qualify for the YouTube ad program.
Yeah.
So what I do is for our TikTok, our Snapchat, our Instagram, we drive everybody to our YouTube channel to drive that, and then because that's a program that you could call it literally passive income.
That's right.
But that's going to generate far more revenue. The check that we get every month from Facebook is a joke. It doesn't even remotely compare to check on YouTube.
You know you're talking above my pay grade, Roland. I'm a host on WURD.
No, I know you're a host. I know you're a host, but right now you're the vessel for the information.
Yes, I am.
Because Sarah is watching, and I'm trying to tell y'all.
Sarah, yes.
Don't be tell everybody on Facebook, move your ass to YouTube, because again, you can drive more revenue there than you can on Facebook. But again, that's understanding how the platforms are moving and working. At the end of the day, it's about driving revenue to keep doing the work.
It is.
Right. And I also find that when you are in that position, see, you know all the things because you should know all the things about the AI.
And you share it.
That's right. But you should also know the things. You know why? Because you should know what it means to create a version of yourself and type in the wording, and there you are talking. Yes. I spent 8 hours one Saturday going through all the apps that I hear people are talking about. Mid-Journey and the AI, and you can make a version of yourself. And I typed myself in, and there I was. And the words that I typed, I saw myself, but I wasn't really saying the words, but I was able to create an image of myself saying those words. Eventually, those types of things that you learn, they have a place somewhere with what you're doing, but you do have to get everybody caught up on what's going on in the AI world and what's going on with all these platforms.
There's been professional development in that space for all the journalists, learning how to use AI as a tool and all the work that we do. Sarah's a great steward of the business for sure when it comes to those things. I think that there has to be some adjustments, and there are already adjustments. Obviously, we had to lay some folks off, but in terms of leveraging the right social media platforms, that YouTube piece is right. I know that there is a YouTube platform for WRD, but all the rhythm is on Facebook now. That's an adjustment.
Let me check.
I don't control that, but it should be made
Let me check.
For organizations trying to expand what they're doing in terms of their footprint on social media.
I mean, listen, we know how the world is, again, the world has changed. It is a completely different world than we are used to. And I just want our folks. All right, so here's the deal. Y'all got WRD has 5,700 subscribers on YouTube. Let me see. Y'all have had a total of 892,000 views. So WRD already qualifies for the YouTube ad monetization program. So y'all should be in it. And so I'll say this here. When it comes to YouTube Shorts, y'all don't spend a lot of money trying to do YouTube Shorts, because from a financial standpoint, it's about 25 cents per video. The watch ads actually generate more money, but the YouTube Shorts does drive subscribers, and so all those things work together. And so this is the stuff that has to be happening, because I'm literally having a conversation with a black newspaper that's going all digital in October, and walking them through what that now means to be all digital, how they have to build out their digital platform to survive in the future, because the print product is no longer there. You want to go ahead and say something?
So. And what you're to add on to what you're saying, it's like a lot of the market penetration that has to happen in order to reach the black voters. It has to, like, the black-owned media needs to start investing in that, mostly because people don't want to go look for information. They want it to come to them.
Right.
And so that's where the black-owned media needs to do a better job at putting that information, putting that intel in front of people.
Are.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, somebody was like, man, you should build a site. Hell, no. We're going to go where they are. When I started this, people thought I was crazy. I said, no. We're going to stream here, and then where they already are, and build that way. And they thought I was crazy. I said, because you got to spend a ton of money trying to market somebody to come over here. That's not how people are using content. And so I just need people to understand, no matter what city you're in, if you've got a black-owned radio station, you got a black media product, understand they're covering things that other people are not covering. And I'm telling you, we are seeing right now, there's not a single black-owned media that has a congressional correspondent. And I told the CBC this. They were like, we come out of our CBC meetings, there's no black-owned media there. I'm like, do y'all know what it costs to pay a congressional? I said, do y'all know what it costs to pay a congressional correspondent? I'm like, do you understand that? I said, oh, by the way, the federal government spends $1 billion a year on advertising. Black-owned media gets 1% of the federal advertising dollars. I said, and I said to the CBC, I said, let's just say 10%, I said, black-owned media gets 10% of federal money, it's $100 million. I said, if we got $2 million of that $100 million, I said, I can have 3 correspondents hired in 90 days.
Wow. Wow.
I said 3 correspondents and an editor. I said to pay for the whole team. I said that $2 million. I said in 90 days.
There's no question about the talent.
Did anybody went quiet? I'm like, yo, so do understand. This is the reason why you're not seeing black correspondents, why you're not seeing black writers.
Or you're seeing correspondents get hired and then they're getting fired all in the same time.
Yeah,
we've seen CNN, we've seen MSNBC hosts. Now they're trying to start from scratch, right? And it's...
Yeah, and it's calling me for advice.
Right, and there's a cost for that, right? So, but I think, again, if they originally owned their voice, right, there's not much they could have said because you're under a parent company where there's a whole bunch of rules and regulations that you can say and can't. But if they thought about, like, the partnership, right, of forming, those relationships with independent black-owned media early on, now that they're free agents, I think that can also go a long way to just ensuring a better path of educational value for our communities.
Absolutely. Well, look, first of all, if folks want to support the station, where they go?
Go to WRDradio.com/support.
There you go. All right, then. We appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Brother. I appreciate you and appreciate the work you do.
Thanks a bunch. Got to go to a quick break. We'll be right back. We're going to check with our panel about how Trump's Department of Agriculture now screwing black farmers. I keep telling all y'all fools who said Trump and Kamala were the same, y'all were dumbasses. I'll be right back.
This week on the other side of change.
Zohran Mamdani, the New York City mayoral race, and this progressive wave that has sent such a shockwave through all of New York City and really the rest of the country. Jamal Bowman is going to help us understand what this mayoral election means and how we make sure that it translates across the nation.
Can you imagine national Democrats like identifying themselves as having flavor or riz or swag? Like, absolutely not, right? So hopefully the city does what it can in November to help resurrect this dying party and honestly just resurrect our democracy.
Only on the other side of change on the Black Star Network.
On our next A Balanced Life, we talk about how to get in touch with your feelings, emotions, how to find your North Star, and how to move your life along.
Because oftentimes what we'll do is we'll accept what the world says about us as the truth and how we see ourselves, which that can be completely contrary to what the Word of God says about who you are.
That's on the next A Balanced Life here on Black Star Network.
I'm Russell L. Honoré, Lieutenant General, United States Army, retired, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Good on camera.
Folks, the Alpha by Alpha Step show is live in full effect. Come on, Anthony, get that camera straight. All right, it's happening as we speak. We're just outside. I see Reverend Dr. Frederick Douglass Haynes just rolled through with his Alpha jersey on. Were you the?
How you doing, brother?
Were you the stepmaster when you were at?
Stop. We alphas. And see, people talk about Roland and say he steps like a Q. No, Q step like Roland. Let him know. Right. Ro is the stepmaster. All right, we learned from Roland, and so did y'all Qs.
First of all, we're talking about all the craziness going on. Earlier, we had Dr. WURD on talking about the Alpha Pack and how they're going to be raising money. Now looking at local races as well, not just the national races.
That's it, and it's so important because, I mean, as you already know, Trump is targeting, especially in Texas, Houston and Dallas, and especially our girl Jasmine Crockett, in terms of trying to get rid of her because he can't handle her IQ. And so as a consequence, he's attacking her, going after Houston, but we ain't gonna let that happen. And so the alphas recognize what Malcolm said. You don't control your politics unless you control your economics. So we controlling the money so we can say something about the politics.
All right, then. Always good to see you.
And you clean as always.
Well, you know, I try. I threw a little something on.
I want to see you out here.
Yeah, I'll be back there shortly. All right, y'all, real quick here, of course, the Trump, the USDA, screwing over farmers of color, ending a 35-year program that gave targeted assistance to farmers of color, even dropping the phrase socially disadvantaged. To comply with Trump's order, the USDA ended its diversity efforts across 14 programs, canceling 3,600 contracts and grants, claiming it would save $5.5 billion. It's directly impacting black farmers who make up less than 5% of the nation's farm owners. And I mean, look, I don't know how many times we've had to say this, Candace, but we kept telling these fools this was going to happen. And to listen to some of these Simple Simon Negroes telling us Kamala wasn't really black, Trump really wasn't as bad as we thought, we just being hysterical, why y'all trying to scare us, we survived him the last time, we survived slavery, we can survive this time. But they real quiet with all this anti-black stuff happening with the racists in the Oval Office.
And you know what? That tracks. Here's somebody, and here are people who had everything written down in Project 25. Like you said, we've seen this. We knew this was going to come. We knew that this was going to be where we were. I just don't think people believed it. Anything that has to do with DEI, anything that has to do with you're giving me more in order to make up for what you've done for me, done to me because of the history of this country, is all going away right before our eyes. Now is the time for people to really, really pay attention. Now listen, if I were those black farmers, here's what I would do just in terms of legally speaking. Legally speaking, Trump, that administration, they don't want anything DEI. They don't want anything being decided by race or gender or ethnic origin. All right? Well then, and they want everything to land equally. Well, all right, then show us those numbers. Then it's got to be, you know, what is the average, what's the percentage of black folks, and then what's the percentage
they actually stopped collecting racial data.
Right.
So you won't have it.
I was just going to say, yeah.
They stopped collecting racial data, but in terms of how it lands, if you are not going to actually put somebody out there.
They're tracking no data. So you will not be able, because it happened last time, you will not be able to know how many fewer contracts we got because they're not collecting any racial data.
Well, then that's going to be the responsibility of the organizations to do it on their own.
Yeah.
Because that's going to be key in order to rising up and saying, well, this is why we were asking for these numbers, and this is why DEI existed.
See, Andy, what I have been laying out, this was shortly after the inauguration, I laid out, I said, I need y'all to understand, this is a concerted effort to defund black America. They want to attack the civil rights infrastructure and the economic rights infrastructure because that is the underpinning of black America. That's what they're doing. That's their target. That's their goal.
That is definitely their target, is definitely their goal, and we're not collateral damage. We are a target. Now, it's mostly African Americans, immigrants, and women who are the main targets in this thing. And with what they're doing with black farmers, that's a very concerted attack on black generational wealth because, correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of these black farms have been in the families for generations. And so when you take away the support for the black farmers, you are actively trying to reduce the amount of black wealth. I mean, you can't buy a piece of land and start farming in the city all willy-nilly.
And of course, and now we see Trump talking about threatening to sign an executive order limiting NIL money. Oh, they can't stand all these young brothers and sisters getting paid all this money. It's some mad white boosters. They want to go back to that old system, Teresa.
You know what? This reminds me of the clear marketing strategy of Make America Great Again. And what again meant was, you know, black folks back on plantations. We were, you know, strictly in poverty. The masters were overseeing us and telling us to do our job when to start, stop, wake up, sleep, who to be with, and who to marry. So I see this as, again, we can go back to, how great America was, and I think it was when black people were actually in position. But that, again, word for me is always the underlying, dog whistle that says all of the things that you thought you were going to win, all the things that you thought you needed to actually succeed and to help the next generation of leaders actually get by, we're actually going to snatch that away. So, I think we're at a very pivotal time. All of us outside of Roland's probably millennials. You look really. So, all of these things that are happening right now are just in real time going to affect our generation. And so it is like so apparent for us to not only steadfast, pay attention, educate others, not just always had education ourselves, but educate others, bring them on board, and also activate. Right. And so I think, what I've heard for the last, 2 hours now, is Roland bringing up our congressional leaders, our PAC leaders, our organizational leaders, and they say we have a plan. So I think it's like really up to us to figure out how do we make sure Make America Great Again don't put us back to the 1900s.
And what NIL did, it removed the hierarchy, because now the ownership is not fully by them. People get to own who they are, as well they should be, because they were bringing in billions of dollars for schools anyway.
You literally have brothers and sisters making $10, $15, $20 million in college.
Pulling up with the same cars as owners of NFL.
FloJo, the sister, she played basketball at LSU. I saw a podcast. She was going off saying, "Fool, stop blowing all your money." Right. This sister is still in college. She said, "I bought 20 acres of land with her NIL money."
There you go.
And the corporation that she started. She's like, "Oh, no. She said, this money going to last me for a long time." And that's what they don't like. Because understand why they want to attack the NIL money. Because now you're going to have educated black athletes who have to now learn financial literacy in high school.
That's right.
So now, that's why you got a brother who finished with Texas A&M, who got drafted by the Cincinnati Bengals. He hasn't signed because he said, the language in the contract, y'all changed for the last. I'm not signing that contract. So when you make $3, $4, $5, $6, $8, $10 million in college, they're not used. They're used to that broke black athlete who desperately wants to get drafted to buy his mama a house. Well, he already bought a house.
Right. He bought 3.
So they don't know how to handle this financially educated, liberated black athlete who says, I ain't got to go to the pros. I can stay in college one more year and make more than that rookie deal.
Right.
That's what's messing these cats up.
And they're creating legacy.
And the reality is, I don't know what the hell jurisdiction Trump has thinking that he can stop NIL money when that's state. He ain't got no power. Like that's just another one of them BS executive orders he gonna sign.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it comes down to.
That's all it is. All right, let me thank our panel. I appreciate y'all being on the show. Let me thank our guests as well. Folks, thank you so very much. We're here, of course, in Philadelphia at the Alpha Convention. It's been a busy week for us. This was the only day I could actually make it to the convention. We've had lots of things happening back in our studio. And I told y'all how I laid out to you. So this week, we finished about $120,000 in upgrades to our lighting system, also our IT system in the studio as well, improving our infrastructure. And so all of those things have been going on this week. So when we go back into the studio on Monday, our lighting is going to look totally different. And so we're adding all sorts of new features as well to greatly improve our product, and that's what this is all about. And so we want to thank all of y'all, of course, who support the work that we do. If y'all want to contribute to our Bring the Funk fan club, the goal is very simple, to get 20,000 folks contributing on average $50 each a year, which comes out to about $1 million. If you can't get $50, we understand. Less is great, more is great. But that's what the goal is, which offsets, of course, the expenses. I told you our expenses are $195,000 a month, which pays for everything, crews, staff, insurance, our live view system, all these different things, which we do to cover it, because it covers this show and 4 other shows in our network. There are a couple other shows that we're shooting pilots, a business show, a health show. So all these things are happening as we look to grow as well. You want to support our work, of course, contribute via Cash App. Here's a QR code right here, the striped QR code. You see it right here on the screen. If you want to get that code as well, go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com or BlackStarNetwork.com. You can use that QR code for credit cards as well. Checks and money order, make them payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered. Send it to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Download the Black Star Network app. Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. Be sure to get our swag, our hats, T-shirts, mugs, all that good stuff. Go to shopblackstarnetwork.com. And if you had ordered any of your merchandise through the previous company we were using, Customer Spring, send us an email so we can help you get that. We actually switched companies because we were having too many problems with them. So we switched to a new vendor. And so you can get all of our T-shirts and our products at shopblackstarnetwork.com. And so check us out there. And don't forget, there are other products at Shop Black Star Network in our marketplace. We feature them on the show. We've had, of course, the black-owned toilet tissue company, Leafy. Of course, the gym wraps from Nicole Ari Parker. Those are on the website as well as a coffee company. You name it. Those are some of the products right there that you see at shopblackstarnetwork.com. Don't forget to get my book, White Fear, How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Mind, available at bookstores nationwide. Get the audio version on Audible. You can also check out our audio podcast through iHeartRadio. We're on all different platforms, our audio podcast. And, of course, support the Black-owned social media app Fanbase. Download the app. If you want to invest, go to startengine.com/fanbase. And y'all know every single Friday, we always celebrate everybody who's given us. If you've given one time or every single month, we always show those donors at the end of the show every single Friday. So we're going to roll that list, and once we get done, we'll go to Truth Talk Lives. And so I appreciate that. I'll see y'all Monday from Washington, D.C., the Black Star Network Studios. Holla!